Just show support for Lindsay and for Kevin Reddington, who's amazing. He's done just a superb job.
Yes, thank you all for being here.
Team Lindsay.
Team Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Okay. All right, just creep up front so that everyone can see him.
Would you like to say anything for Lindsay?
Team Lindsay, you're not alone. We're with you. Team Lindsay.
Say
Team
anything?
Lindsay.
We're here to support Lindsay and also all the women in America who's gone through our healthcare system and has been diminished and let down.
The healthcare system. Yeah, I work in the healthcare system. I'm saying that out as it is and how I see it. They failed us.
Court TV, you guys want to talk? Hi.
I can help women that are in need after giving child and just our own health care. So it's important to be here.
Oh, yeah, that's and what made you, how did you get involved in this case? Walk me through the beginning of this.
I was devastated the night that Lindsay came into work in shambles for her autopsy. I did not sleep until 1 o'clock in the morning. I decided to do something, and all of these wonderful people.
Hey, you want to say something? We don't have too many men saying anything.
Oh, I love this.
I'm here supporting my wife, Renee Kimball. She's the one that put this all together. I'm the man that holds it.
All right. Anything else you want to say?
I'm here to support Mrs. Clancy, too, and hopefully she gets the help she needs and justice.
Thank you.
Hi.
I'm from Acushnet, Mass. My name is Amy. I'm also a mental health worker for 15 years, and I'm here to support Lindsay, her children, and I hope she gets the help she needs. Massachusetts failed her, and we need to stand and show people that mental illness is a serious thing, and more women need support.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Massachusetts, go Bills. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Between 8:15 I've been following this case. I was involved in the Simon Reed case, the Sandra Virtual case, the Just on Root case. And right now we're trying to get the Norfolk VA election is coming up with Adam Deitch. And I've been standing out.
I Googled them all last night. Oh no, I just we have someone. Oh, hi. Oh yes. I am Ronnie.
Did you guys want to say something?
You over the internet.
Just show support for Lindsay and for Kevin Reddington, who's amazing. He's done just a superb job.
Team Lindsay.
Lindsay. Creep up front so that everyone can see them.
Would you like to say anything for Lindsay?
Team Lindsay, where you're not alone. We're with you.
I haven't stopped.
Oh, so you did the pool the other day? Yeah. Nobody from the group wanted to do it. Waits was here, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta leave at 1." Oh, okay. I was wondering, because he usually was. How are you doing? Oh, I know.
I'm gonna try and pull off a shot of.
Oh, really?
I know. Me too. I was like, girl, what?
She said I am disgusting, and then she goes, always the one that just doing the most in all the yeah. That's my choice. Yeah. No, he left. He left for me to clean up all the mess.
No.
You were good. You were good.
I
I did too late. Oh, that's okay.
Emotion's good. No trick questions. You can just say what you want to say. I won't even ask you any questions. You can just tell me why you're here.
I know.
If you want to tell us your name, though, hang on one second.
So my first part, I would say I was busy. I'll be a manager.
Go ahead. Tell me your name and you want to hold it?
No, it's fine.
Oh,
Okay.
go ahead.
My name is Jamila, and I'm here to bring like the awareness for women mental health, not just women mental health, but mental health in general.
You want to tell us what you think happened as far as the case is going?
I don't want to say what happened, but I can say that she was looking for help and she didn't get the help that she needed. She got downplayed, and this is what happened when women share. I don't feel good because we have to be strong 24/7. We cannot feel weak. We cannot feel like, oh, I cannot deal with this right now, because we have to, as a woman, as a mom, we always have to be there regardless. Nobody will be there. Oh, let me take that out of your back. So I don't want to say what happened. I know that she needed help.
What do you think is going to happen?
I hope she get the help that she needs, and that the world get educated and informed about mental health and a woman mental health, because that's real.
Do you mind telling me your first and last name and spell it for me?
Jamila Rosa, DJAMILAROSA.
Great. Is there anything else you want to say?
The system needs to change.
That's perfect.
Thank you.
Listen, if you let this girl talk, she's like,
I'll talk to anyone.
Oh, there we go.
Literal agree with
Anyone and everyone.
Well, you want to start off with just telling us your name and spell it?
My name is Jessica Giannetti, JESSICA GINNITTI.
You want to tell us why you're here today?
Yes, I'm just here my sister and I are here to support Lindsay. It's not a protest, not a rally, just a silent support to let her know that she's seen, she's heard, which she was not seen or heard by the medical system, by her doctors, by her husband. So we want to let her know that she is seen and heard now. And we're hoping that maybe this unfortunate circumstance will maybe shed some light on postpartum for women, because unfortunately that is overlooked a lot, and women do get dismissed quite a bit from that.
You want to walk and talk? We'll go to the end over here. I think we're about to get an interesting shot. There, I'll head into the end. Here.
Oh, okay. Let's go. We're going to walk and talk. We are going to see Lindsay, I think. I'm not positive. I think that's what we're doing, though. So here we are with everybody. We have to listen to the police first. We've got rules. Okay. We're listening to the rules.
We will have to take you into custody for that, and we don't want to have to do that. We want to support you guys in everything you're doing out here, but you guys kind of have to help us with that as well, okay? So if we can all do this the right way, it'd be
No yelling at anybody, no swearing, no being aggressive.
Great. Here, we just want to pick up your face this way. You want to tell us how you feel about the justice system and how everything's been going for Lindsay?
I understand that the jurors do have a job to do, but I do think that there is different ways to go about it. I do not think that they are being tactful in the way they're going about it. They're being rather aggressive. And I just don't see this being done appropriately. I really don't. I don't think that it is at all.
If you could say anything to Lindsay, what would it be?
Lindsay, we see you. We hear you. We wish that you were not failed, hun, and you were. And at the end of the day, I know nothing's going to bring those children back, nothing. But hopefully this, again, will shed some light on postpartum, and maybe the next woman won't have to suffer. And I just hope that you, at some point, find peace. That's all I really can hope for you. And you, again, you're seen and you're heard. And we hope that you find peace someday.
Great. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I just that we're here to support. And again, thank you for everybody for being here.
Thank you very much.
And you like answer right back. And I'm like, my life is happening.
But then there's the people that will, abuse it and look at it as, and that's no one to wonder like, oh God, she's so
5:45. Yeah, because I said if you can't make it here.
It's very moving for them. They don't forget it.
Mr. Reddington, what's your message to all these folks who are here today?
Thank you. That's all I can say. It's amazing.
We love you, Kevin.
Kevin, are you surprised at just how much attention this case has gotten? I mean, people are coming from Maine.
It's the message. It really is. It's the message that just has reverberated, throughout the whole country.
What is that
Reddington's
message?
fighting for women's rights.
No, I
for
don't.
healthcare.
I think that it's the mental health system. I hate to use the word health care because unfortunately in this case we can see it hasn't been health care, and I think that it shines a light on this issue. I mean, when a woman is going through what so many people do, and they go to a doctor and the doctor says, here, take this pill, take that pill, take this pill, and then they basically treat them for 15, 20 minutes and send them on their way. It's just not right.
And to those who can't wrap their heads around sympathizing with a mother who killed her 3 children, what do you say to them?
I think it's almost like when you're picking a jury, and sometimes somebody will say, "Well, I don't agree with this allegation of murder." I mean, none of us do, but that's what we have juries for. They pass between the government and the defendant to see if they can prove their case.
Is she aware of this support, and what does she think of this support?
I'm going to go in and see her right now. I'm sure that she is, and if she isn't, she will be.
What do you think about?
She's so beat up and just so sad. This will really help her out, I think. It's awesome.
Tell her we love her. What do you think about
I
you
will.
being the advocate for all women right now?
I'm not an advocate.
You are. But you are. But you are.
Let the man get to work.
But you are. I did. I was like, oh, I got all the wedding stuff done yesterday.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Power Network. I'm Amy. We are watching the gathering for Lindsay Clancy outside of the courthouse. Women and men have gathered and they're dressed in pink in solidarity for Lindsay and mental health awareness. They just interviewed Red. Everybody loves Red. Even the people that are on Lindsay's, like against Lindsay, are in awe of Red. They say he's like an old Matlock lawyer, and it's like a performance. Lindsay's arriving now. You know, they were talking about Lindsay and the state of her body. I used to watch a paraplegic channel because I like to watch just like all different things. And she was a paraplegic and she was in Seattle, and she was just sharing like shocking things that you would never know daily life was like being a paraplegic, and just going to the bathroom seemed like so much work because she would have to put a tube up her urethra if she wanted to urinate. And then if she needed to go a bowel movement, she would have to put a glove on and pull it out. She said she couldn't do that herself for a long time. First, the nurses did it for her. And then, when she no longer was afforded nursing care, then her family did it for her. And then, when her family would no longer do it for her, she now has to do it. That alone to me sounds like a nightmare to have to deal with. Not to mention she still wants to take the exit plan in life, and I think she probably always will. There's a reason she has 2 nurses on her. And I don't think this probably will make it better in maybe a quick moment, but for the whole scheme of things, I don't think it matters to Lindsay. I still think she wants to like not live. Seems like the line is growing and growing and growing. It's good to see. Yeah, Red is ready. He's really doing a good job considering what the Commonwealth has proven, which is nothing. Yeah, but I still fear they're going to win because it is hard to just let a mother walk away from that. Like she's not going to walk away from it, and even if she's found not guilty, she will go into a mental institution. And I think it just depends what mental institution she's going to be put into. If she's found guilty, she'll go to a prison mental institution. If she's found not guilty because of insanity, she'll go to a different institution. And if she's found not guilty, then she'll go to an institution of her choice, of her family's choice. So she's going to an institution. But I get, somebody said, I was listening to a podcast this morning, and a lawyer said basically what you're asking the jury to do is to step over 3 dead bodies and find her not guilty. And I was like, oh, damn. If that ain't the truth, I don't know what is. But for me, I could do that from the evidence that I've seen. I feel she begged for help. I don't know what more, like she begged for help and she was failed in the institution. And if we tell people to ask for help, to seek help, and she did do that and she was still failed in such a huge way, for me, I want her to go somewhere because I know her life is never going to be a good life. I know she's never going to have a good life. And somehow Patrick was able to do that in 4 short months. I'm just amazed by it. I'm amazed by it. I've kind of stopped going over around Facebook and the conspiracy sites, and because I just feel like he failed her in a huge way, and there's so many red flags about him as a person, and I am disgusted that he has a nonprofit in the name of postpartum women, and there's just so many like jaw-dropping disgusting things, but it's just, I think he's just disgusting. I think that's just what it is. Like, I don't necessarily think he's a murderer. I think he contributed to these by his behaviors, and it's amazing to me that he's able to move on, but I really can't see him and Rachel, but boy, I'm telling you, the conspiracies, the apartment building that the Danises now live in, they had rented before the Schmurders, and guess who owns the apartment building? Rachel's father. He has stock in it. And guess Rachel's father is in the Epstein files. So it's like, the conspiracies almost like knock me on my butt when I sit here and I'm like, oh, it's nothing. But then, I remember this conspiracy and I'm like, oh, all the red flags. It's just so hard. But anyway, living in this world is hard now, isn't it? Yeah, 4 short months and a magical doppelganger of Lindsay. Like, they definitely Dr. Rachel Danis and Patrick Clancy definitely have a type. Definitely have a type. But, uh, yeah, for my sanity, I'm gonna have to not go too deep down those rabbit holes because I feel like I'm going crazy. Because I feel like the whole world is a conspiracy. Like, I've always been into conspiracy, uh, and I've always loved a aha moment when I'm right, but there's just too many conspiracies that I've been right about. I've had too many aha moments, and I don't want any more. I'm good. But I'm joking. Um, People are connecting those dots a little bit. They're wondering why Cora had so many UTI infections and why was Cora the one that he chose to take on the vacations. So that's what people are saying in the conspiracy world. And this is all alleged for entertainment purposes only. I'm just giving you the tea on what's out there. It would be truly horrific if that happened, but no, it's just that Rachel Danis, Dr. Danis, is connected to the files somehow
Yeah, you can.
through her father, who owns the building that they now live in. And that apartment, like somebody found that apartment and it was traced back to Danis's dad. And they owned it before the Schmurders. I say I stayed away, but that just means I haven't looked at what's new this morning. I watched last night. I just need a break today. I just want to touch grass and watch the trial and raise my vibration and just like I feel like I have hope that maybe this will bring change. Just gonna lasso onto that. Okay, let's pop over here. I think that's all the I never really got to see Lindsay come out of the van though, which is interesting. Let's Okay, so they're in the court. They're supposed to start at 9, but they never start until 9:30 or 10. I'm like chomping at the bit. I want to know why court ended so abruptly yesterday. So I was out on the interwebs, and these are all the conspiracies out there. I heard that one of the jurors left, and so it's a possible mistrial. I heard that Patrick Clancy was supposed to testify, but he won't show up. I heard that it was just Reddington's next witness wasn't able to get there, and they didn't have anybody else to testify in their stead, so they just had to like shut it down. I heard that it was the judges, something happened in the judge's family. I heard that it was just a mistrial, that the Bow twins did something. So there was a lot out there, and I haven't narrowed down any one conspiracy. What did you hear, Carolina? What was it you said you heard? Let me go through the comments. I know you said you heard something. You heard Lots of people say that the judge may be considering a mistrial, but you don't think so. Yeah. So I don't know what it is. I guess we'll find out in a little bit. I'm leaning towards it was just the witness didn't show up because Red looked a little annoyed and it was, I don't know. That's what I was leaning towards because I think Red was counting on the ticky tacky lady being able to testify. But she sat up on the stand just before then. She worked at a facility that Lindsay was in, and the judge said no. He didn't want her to test. I knew he wasn't going to let somebody from the TikTok streets testify. That would have been a weird precedent for this. I could not see that happening. But so he said no, and I think that's kind of like what threw the day off. I'm just guessing, but I'm a minimizer too. Like I'm a minimizer because so much horrible shit goes wrong in my life that I just minimize it. Pew pew, nothing, right? But it could, I don't know, maybe it was a mistrial. Deep down, I wish it was the judge being like, I've had it with these Bow twins. Ma'am, did you know the Catholic faith thinks what you're doing is horrible? Or something like that, right? But anyway. All right, so while we're waiting, they probably won't start for another 45 minutes, I'm guessing, because they usually don't start till a little bit after 9. So let's go around and just kind of see what's being said out there by other people. I found this guy, the tilted lawyer, and I don't know why he doesn't have a bigger following than he does. He does a really good job, but for some reason he's got really slow growth. I mean, I'm not saying 30,000 is anything to sneeze at, but I feel like he should be at like 100,000, right? He works really hard, and he and his wife work really hard. So if you are so inclined, I would subscribe to him. I'll put the links to everything we view down in the YouTube show notes. We do this to cite our sources and for fair use. Today, we're coming to you on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So if you could be sure to show us love on the platform you're viewing us on. We're waiting for court to start today. I do have, hold on, let me get it to the right spot. I do have the courtroom up and waiting. So when I hear them come in, I will bring us right over there. But while we're waiting, we're going to do this. And I haven't decided if we want to go with Long Climb, or the other one, Court TV. Do you guys have a preference? Long Climb or Court TV? Bonus points to those that know what long climb means.
The infamous, not the infamous. The
so
famous.
This is he's talking about yesterday. So we're gonna go over yesterday on the tilted. Is it called the tilt? Yeah, the tilted lawyer.
90.
Neither of those, maybe?
It was day 16 of the Lindsay Clancy trial today, and I'll tell you what, it was a day in which the defense. Oh, wait a minute. I'm hearing an echo. There we go. Yeah, maybe neither of those, maybe one of those, maybe not both. I don't know. But the defense went all in today with their theory, their defense theory. They are arguing both prongs of the McHugh defense. They're arguing not only was she with a mental defect, but at the time that the events occurred, it wasn't one or the other. It was she could not distinguish in the moment between right and wrong, and she couldn't conform her behavior to the law. They're arguing both prongs. Not only that, but there was some previewed testimony yesterday that I was questioning. Like, wait a minute. So, and cross-exam, he says that she only mentions the voice that one time and then never again. But then there was some insinuation that there was ripples of the voice back in December. And we're like, well, what happened with that? Well, Seisel kind of clears it up. And for the very first time ever, there's this chaplain that comes into play. And we're going to replay that testimony. But the audible male voice that was hallucinated, that has been the subject of the defense's theory of the case, manifested all the way today. So they're all in. We know the exact theory. What we don't have is witness corroboration of a second person corroborating the voice at the time, but we have at least the entrance of it. And they abruptly ended the day today after having a voir dire with this TikToker, and we talk about that, but it wasn't the most important thing. Seisel was by far the most important witness, and I can tell you right now that it appears to me that the trial is going to be won or lost on today's testimony. Normally I would go into my intro, but I'm not going to do my intro because I'm co-streaming with Lauren Knighty tonight, and it would be inappropriate to do that.
It's not inappropriate. You can do it if you want.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, if that's the case,
do it. Pull the trigger. It's all good.
We'll be back in 30 seconds.
Whatever you might be going through and wherever you might be, this is Omar Serrato with the Tilted Lawyer Podcast. I'm here to take your mind off of things. Yes, I'm an attorney. No, I'm not giving you legal advice. I want to sit and talk like people as these are the
mid-2000s, and then the Trump thing happened, and he's been trying to hold on to his career ever since, and now he's onto sensationalistic journalism. So, hey, Godspeed to him. By the way, Maureen, I'm going to butcher this. Maureen, I can't see. It's not that I can't read, it's that I can't see. Maureen McGarry.
I'm the same way. I need glasses.
So thank you for your...
I'm doing readers, and I keep breaking my readers, and getting old. I'm losing my eyesight.
Honest wisdom, I appreciate you, young lady. Also, I didn't forget about you, Aquanetta. I accidentally unstarred your $5 super sticker. I appreciate you. Don't think I didn't see your super sticker. But
actually, so I like the guy is the thing. That's why I hated this, is because I don't actually want to sit here and like be like he's a terrible person or anything like that, or like scold him. Like, I liked the guy and I'm disappointed. So that's why I wanted to kind of pick a bone with this. But
I have been disappointed in people that have been picking up that coverage. I have not wanted to talk about it just because it's not made its way or manifested itself into any form of the evidence. And the bits and pieces that I saw people talking about it was trying to twist bits and pieces of Patrick's testimony into their own narratives. And it's like, so you guys are just speculating. It's just pure on Gossip Girls style coverage. Like, this isn't for me. This is for like 12-year-old girls or boys for that. I don't know. It's coverage.
Enabling, though, a lot of the really crazy people with TikTok platforms, and I'm just
let's go forward. I want to get into.
I like it. So this is the first one that I saw, which like really upset. Like it wasn't like I'm not like gonna rage out at the guy or anything, but it upset me because I thought it was not okay. So
is Patrick Clancy was a deadbeat husband.
He was a deadbeat husband.
Made him.
Why does this make you mad? He was a deadbeat husband.
Enabler to the crimes. My opinion.
And it's disgusting that he has a nonprofit to help women with postpartum depression now, when he left his wife in her own postpartum depression. Granted, I mean, he wasn't a medical doctor, and the medical doctors left the whole family in that. But yeah.
He is a little narcissistic weasel of a man. I know he is suffering his own loss here, and people have empathy there, but I cannot. Stereotypical toxic masculinity is a roided out, aggro, sexually aggressive.
Where's he getting the
scary?
I just get really disgusted by women like this. I just expect more. I don't know. Let's go forward, because I just don't even want to deal with this morning. People like this who think Patrick's behavior was just fucking okay.
He had nothing, which is stupid.
Yeah. And so I want to remind people also, I mean, it's kind of what you just spoke to a little bit, but like none of these people over the last 3 years, none of these people who actually know what's going on and know the full picture are saying anything bad about him. By all official accounts, any statement that's ever been made, Patrick was a good father, a dedicated father. But
by all official accounts, but when we look back at his behaviors, it's not official. People can say a lot of bullshit and be wrong. So anyway, let's go forward. I just really want to go into, look at her face, how red it got with, anyway, I just want to get into the trial. This is somebody he's collabing with too. I don't even know who she is.
Complained that she had what is referred to as a flattened effect.
Yes, and that was also paired with derealization.
And what does that mean?
That an individual experiencing derealization doesn't feel things are real when they look around. They don't think that what they're seeing is in the reality that they're in.
Why do I care? Here's a bigger question. Why do you care? Why are you in a channel trying to shame me for talking about a case that you're talking about? That doesn't work over here. Okay. So why do you care? I'm running a channel. I'm a commentary channel. This is what I do. So stop pointing your little crooked finger. Point it at your own self. We don't play those vampiric, stupid games over here. You don't get to steal my energy that way.
22, she was living in Duxbury, is that correct?
That's correct.
And she's living with her husband and her 3 children, 3 young children, correct?
Yes.
And was the husband working?
Yes.
Where was he working?
Pardon me?
Where was he working?
He was working for Microsoft, but in a home office that was in the basement of the house.
And she's obviously taking care of Callan the infant and Dawson and, Cora.
Yes.
And the kids were in school a couple of days a week in the preschool, the Little Sprouts or something like that, right?
Yes.
So did she improve at that point, sir? Or did she end up going to South Shore Perinatal Clinic on December 2nd?
She did not improve. She was getting worse. She did go to the South Shore Perinatal Clinic.
And would that be on December 2nd?
December 2nd, yes.
And what was the reason, what were her complaints that brought her to South Shore Perinatal Clinic on December 2nd?
She felt that her brain was damaged. She felt that she should kill herself. And she's never going to get any better.
Did she also express fear that people could hear her thoughts and that anything adverse would happen in her life regarding being a mother and having children?
Yes, that's called thought broadcasting.
And what was her concern about the children?
Her concern was that when people could hear her thoughts, her children would be removed from her care.
Now, and keep your voice up, please.
Yes.
Did she indicate, and I quote, that she had bad and intrusive thoughts, and she didn't even feel that they were like mine, telling me I should kill myself, my brain is damaged, you're never going to get better?
Yes.
And did that type of intrusive thought or persecutory thought continue for a period of time?
Yes. So that
it
works.
gets so bad that she ended up doing something.
Yes, that's correct.
What did she do?
She called the suicide hotline.
And do you know when that was, sir?
That was December 4th, 2022.
Did she receive any help from the suicide hotline?
She did not.
Why is that?
They told her she did not meet the standard of care. She did not have a plan.
Did she call the suicide hotline again, if you're aware?
Yes, she did.
Do you know when that was? Was that in December?
Yes, I believe that was perhaps the following week, around the 15th, but I'm not positive about that.
Did she receive help on the second call? Did she call the suicide hotline?
No, she did not.
Can you tell us at this point now, we're talking about in December, let's say towards December 15th or thereabouts, what were her symptoms at that time regarding any complaints or observations that she had about paranoia or things of that nature?
Yes, she was having paranoid symptoms of psychosis, and she was getting more depressed.
Did she make any comments about DCF or the police at that point?
Yes.
Now, to your knowledge, did she ever have any involvement in her entire life with the police?
Never.
And did she express that she was in fear or concerned about DCF and or the police in the middle of December 22?
Very much so.
I'm going to assume that you guys have watched this, so I'm going to kind of move it forward to where are they giving analysis of it? Because I don't see them talking at all. And we've already watched this ourselves. So I did find something else that we can look at. Shit, hold on. What was the other? Hold on. Yeah, I like to watch Nate from East Idaho News. He does a recap and he's in the courtroom. So I thought that it would be interesting. I also watched the other, if he doesn't start talking about like in the courtroom, what's going on inside the courtroom. I found another one. Brian Antonin interviewed someone who's been sitting in the court, and they say it's like a much different experience sitting in the court. And he talked a little bit about the jury and their reactions. And there's one lady in particular that's been really lasered in on Lindsay, and like when she cried with her. And he said that the jury is like really taking notes, and when Reddington is doing his cross, it's like a ping pong match, and they're that paying that attention. Like he'll ask the question and then their heads will ping pong over to whoever's on the stand, and then when they answer it'll pong back over to Red, and it's like that. But when the Commonwealth is doing their thing, it's not like that. So they're really paying attention to what Red said. So let's see if we can get some of that info. If not, I'll take you over to that video where I saw that.
Wrapping up, the defense attorney called, continued questioning
their witness today, and then the prosecution had some questions. A little bit of an interesting day here. We'll talk about it, but I wouldn't be surprised if the defense rests in the next few days.
I saw Red do an interview last night, and they asked if he was going to probably rest today, and Red said yes. So I don't know. And also, some legal analysts said that they thought that this would be in the jury for a while. So we'll probably have to go all weekend and not know.
As their witness list is coming to a close, so to speak. They could always call more people. They did submit a list of over 50 names, and they have not clearly called 50. I know many of you are saying, are they going to call Patrick again? I don't think they're going to call Patrick Clancy again. He was called in the beginning, and I think that they probably worked out some sort of deal with the prosecutor that they could widen the scope of their questioning so that they wouldn't have to bring him back. I could be eating my words tomorrow, and if I'm wrong, I'll let you know if I'm wrong, but I don't think we're going to hear from Patrick Clancy again in this trial. Before we go any further, I want to take a look at the images taken today from the Boston Globe. They were the pool photographer, Amanda Sabga, credit to her. You can see Lindsay Clancy dressed in a green blouse, along with some of her, some photos with her attorney, who looks tired or maybe frustrated, however you want to read the pictures. I mean, I imagine this has been day 16 now. They've been doing this and preparing for this for years. So both sides have to be a little tired, probably ready for it to wind up. But we also have some images of the witnesses and the judge, other people who were part of the trial today. Big thanks to the Boston Globe for sharing these photos with the media. And that kind of gives you a look inside the courtroom. Soon closing statements will happen within the next... If I were a guessing man, and I could be completely off, I think we'll have closings on Monday. I think that the judge still has to go through jury instructions with both sides, wrap things up tomorrow. The jury was told to report back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern, and we'll see what happens at that point. It was a sudden adjournment today because of an unexplained circumstance that the judge told the jurors not to read into it. Anyway, I'm jumping ahead of myself. We'll get to all that. Let's start at the beginning. The day started a little bit late due to an issue, and eventually Dr. Paul Zeisel was back on the stand. This guy has experience. He's a clinical forensic psychologist. He was back on the stand from yesterday. You may remember that this is the defense witness who's met with Lindsay Clancy more than 35 hours. He's really gotten to know her. He was tasked by the defense to examine her mental state. Now, the Commonwealth had a list of experts that they called medical experts who had worked with Lindsay, who knew Lindsay. This guy also has. And after the fact, though, after the killings took place, he's met with her in the hospital where she's staying. And we got an interesting insight as far as how Lindsay's doing in the hospital today. Many of you have asked me, like, do we know?
You know, I was working for my CAC at a certain point, and I had clients that I was doing therapy with, and you can't help but to start to have empathy for your clients. I mean, it's one thing if you're calling them late at night and talking to them on the phone, but it's another thing if you make yourself a little extra open and available for that person because you know they're going through an extra hard time at that moment where you don't have to, you know, you would certainly be within the lines of therapy if you didn't, but you could open it up and it would still be within the lines of therapy. And the way the Commonwealth tries to make it seem is just so disgusting. Mean girl. Like I feel like they're getting meaner and meaner by the day.
Oh, she on medication? What's she like in there? Well,
by the way, my background is I have a BA in psych soc, so I've done a lot of different social work and psychology type work.
Sounds like she, goes to the coffee meetups. She goes to watch the TV. She uses electronic devices. The witness says she has. What did he say? He has.
Yes, I do not envy that jury at all. I thought about it, and like I would not want to be in their seat. Not because all the trauma they're gonna have to have. You can't like once you hear things, I've learned this because like I am able to, if I don't want to read something or watch something that I think is going to cause me trauma, I won't, because I know what it does. I know that you can't unlearn something once you learn it. Like for me, it will rent space in my soul. So if I can avoid certain things like that Perez Hilton video that was making the rounds, I saw a clip of it and I said, nope, not today. Not today. I shall not be watching that. So I have the ability to, like, if I don't want to see something and if I can, I avoid it. And yeah.
Bad days, worst days.
Those, I know I looked up, and Massachusetts is a state that will offer counseling to jury members if they need it afterwards.
Days and bad days. Something along those lines, that she doesn't have any really great days, but we'll talk about that as we go on. So he was back on the stand today, and he picked up talking about Lindsay seeking care with medical providers and disassociation from herself. She said that she was not feeling like herself.
She felt that her brain was damaged. She felt that she should kill herself. And she's never going to get any better.
Did she also express fear that people could hear her thoughts and that anything adverse would happen in her life regarding being a mother and having children?
Yes, that's called thought broadcasting.
And what was her concern about the children?
Her concern was that when people could hear her thoughts, her children would be removed from her care.
Now, and keep your voice up, please.
Yes.
Did she indicate, and I quote, that she had bad and intrusive thoughts, and she didn't even feel that they were like mine, telling me I should kill myself, my brain is damaged, you're never going to get better?
Yes.
And did that type of intrusive thought or persecutory thought continue for a period of time?
Yes. So it got worse.
Did it get so bad that she ended up doing something?
Yes, that's correct.
What did she do?
She called the suicide hotline.
And do you know when that was, sir?
That was December 4th, 2022.
Did she receive any help from the suicide hotline?
She did not.
Why is that?
They told her she did not meet the standard of care because she did not have a plan.
Did she call the suicide hotline again, if you're aware?
Yes, she did.
Do you know when that was? Was that in December?
Yes, I believe that was perhaps the following week around the 15th, but I'm not positive about that.
Did she receive help on the second call that she called the suicide hotline?
No, she did not.
Now, defense attorney Kevin Reddington went through a long list of symptoms that he says Lindsay was experiencing. She was anxious. She didn't want to drive alone. She was having issues sleeping. She had bipolar type of depression type of issues. And when she sought this treatment for these issues, she felt like she was being bounced around from provider to provider, prescription to prescription. In December of 2022, she was feeling paranoid. Remember, the kids were killed in January of 23. So about a month before, she was living in fear that Child Protective Services and the police would come and take her kids and that other people would be able to hear her intrusive thoughts. At this time, she was taking Seroquel, Remeron, and Klonopin and reported feeling like a zombie. Lindsay said she was hearing voices that were telling her to kill herself, along with having hallucinations. Reddington asked Dr. Zeisel to explain how a psychotic state doesn't alter a person's day-to-day routine. You hear a lot about this, that if you're psychotic, you can't function. You can't go about day-to-day. You can't pick up the phone. You can't eat. You can't walk. Well, Dr. Zeisel says that's not the case.
If a person is in a psychotic state, are they able to continue to Google and use a computer to look things up?
Yes.
They're able to use a phone?
Yes. People who are in that state can do things they've done before. New tasks may be difficult, like changing the tire, but if you looked up things on the internet, you can look them up again. If you drove a car, you can drive a car.
Now, the morning of January.
How did we feel about this doctor? I pretty much liked him. I thought that his voice was very Mr. Roger-like, very even keel. Even when the Commonwealth was trying to be real pissy, He only did a few zings back, and yeah, I felt like he got his point across. Again, I think this is like a hard boulder to push up the mountain to get people to just say a mother who did this is free, like is not guilty. But in the whole scheme of thing, Reddington's doing a really good job with pushing that boulder up and doing it like for all I know his son's there, and but all intents and purposes it's just like Reddington and a girl sitting there in a wheelchair. Some another podcaster had said, like, like with Brian Koberger, we're just used to seeing this sea of lawyers sitting at a table, clickety clackety on their computer and feeding questions to the lawyer up there. But it's just Reddington. It's just Reddington remembering all of this at 75, 76 years old with all these old school mountain of evidence. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's wild. It really has me fascinated, this trial. It's just a fascinating trial to watch. And I'm sure it's going to be a trial that goes like in the books where other lawyers study this, right? Like, in like this is his moment in history that his name, like, he's already really respected. I see in my comments people are like, his family's really well respected in the Massachusetts area. And I guess like on a list of top lawyers that you can trust, like Kevin Reddington's name just came out before this even happened. His name came out on that list. So, I mean, this is how they've always been. But if any lawyer in the world had to be chosen for Lindsay, I truly believe that it's some divine divinity that chose Kevin Reddington for her. So, but yeah, that's what's happening.
24th. I believe she went somewhere. Is that right?
Yes.
Where'd she go?
She's taking her daughter to a pediatrician, a standing pediatrician appointment.
And is it your understanding to a reasonable degree of medical certainty that a person who's in a psychotic state is able to drive a car for a short distance, go to an appointment, and interact and talk to people?
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
they can do that.
definitely one of my triggers. My senior year of high school, I worked at a hospital and I considered becoming a nurse, but going into the surgery recovery room and having to get patients and the smell and just the blood, yeah, it just wasn't for me. Just was not for me. I can still smell the blood and I can still smell the morgue. So that's another thing. I have like a really strong sense of smell and it goes right to my stomach. So when I see things, then I remember the smell of things and then it makes me sick to my stomach.
Everyday tasks of living.
So the fact that she's not talking about the unicorns in the corner and she's not slurring her speech and she's not unable to walk, to your opinion, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, does that mean that she's not in a psychotic state?
It does not.
Would you tell us, after she took Cora to the doctors and the jurors have had a chance to look at the exhibits, there's photographs between her and her husband, Pat, back and forth. In the afternoon, what did she do?
She built a snowman in the backyard with two of her kids.
Later that day, Google directions to a restaurant, 3B restaurant, I believe.
Yes.
Is that something that a person can do when they're in that type of a state?
Easily.
Did the
Yes.
voices or the intrusive thoughts to your interview and your understanding abate or stop at that point on January 24th?
No.
Did they continue?
Yes.
After the murders, Dr. Zeisel performed a series of tests on Lindsay.
Yeah, I mean, people think it's completely okay that the ex-district attorney bought Patrick's house just, months afterwards. But like, I feel like Massachusetts, the town that they live in, I heard Patrick has hundreds of cousins, and I heard the Reddingtons are really well known. And I mean, I think that in a small town where people and cousins and family doesn't move away and they just reproduce, that worlds overlap quite a bit, right? Lives overlap. And I don't know. Yeah. People are making a stink about that and everything else, but I gotta try to let the world just make their stinks, right? And just be like, this is my opinion. And because I miss the days where we could all have our own opinions. I miss those days. And it's so funny that it's just changed so drastically in the last year, just so drastically.
And found that she did not have any antisocial personality disorders. He also interviewed her family and friends and described to the jury what Lindsay's mental defect was and how it had an impact.
Did she indicate that she was having a harder time taking care of her children?
Yes.
Did she indicate that she was having issues regarding personal hygiene, not bathing, things of that nature?
Yes.
Did she indicate that she had severe confusion in actually hearing or seeing things that aren't there? In her case, it would not be seeing, that would be visual hallucinations. But did she complain of hearing things that weren't there, hallucinations?
Yes.
Did she complain of thoughts and beliefs that were not within reality and that she was in a disassociated state?
Yes.
I think I see the courtroom camera jiggling just a little bit, so maybe they're getting ready. I'm keeping an eye on it.
Yes.
Did she indicate that, did you observe that there were circumstances where she exhibited increased energy, activity, productivity, otherwise known as hypomania?
Yes.
Did she complain that she had racing thoughts, a quote, busy brain, end quote?
What I want to do is I want to move us forward and get us more towards the end and see what Nate seems to think about the sudden, like, we're out of here. See you tomorrow. Audi 2000. Don't let your minds run wild. Bye. I'd like to know more about that.
Them and thinks of them every single day, almost every moment of the day.
She really loves them and misses them and thinks of them every day, almost every moment of the day. Lindsay is still on a one-on-one status at the hospital in caution to prevent any further suicide attempts. I'm curious if that will be for life. Should she end up going back there? If she's found guilty by reason of insanity or whatever, if that's where she's going to be, I don't think they put her back in jail. She'll probably be there and she won't be able to leave. If it's one of those things that she outgrows or not, kind of like Andrea Yates. After this, the jury.
But Andrea Yates has never outgrown that. We looked that up and she doesn't want to. She doesn't go to her hearings to try to determine if she can get out or not because she doesn't want to get out. So that's how I see Lindsay living the rest of her life, is in some institution. I you know, yeah. Because I don't know if any amount of psychotherapy could get that better. Is there any mother? Do we know any mother? Let me. Oh well, Casey Anthony, but she's insane. I saw somewhere out there. I didn't double check or do anything, but somebody said she said she's already had more kids, which is horrifying if that's true. Yeah. Casey Anthony's the only mother that I believe unalived her child that's still out there. I can't think of any other instance where a mother did that she's allowed to be out free. Can you? Maybe there is. Let me ask AI for what it's worth. Are there any mothers that their kids out free? Yes, some mothers who unalive their children are free today, typically because they were acquitted by reason of insanity. Let's see. It's listing Andrea Yates, but I looked it up and it said she wasn't out free. Let's see what this says. Andrea Yates unalived her 5 children in 2001 in Texas after her initial conviction was overturned. A new jury found her not guilty by reason of insanity. She has lived in a low security state mental health facility rather than a prison. So she's not out free. Okay, so there's some UK. I should have said in the United States. They're listing some UK mothers. I guess there's one named Sally Clark, Donna Anthony, and Angela Cannings. It's saying that some served prison. They're going back to the United States. Some served prison sentences. Some mothers convicted of lesser charges or manslaughter have completed their sentences and been released. For example, a Wisconsin mother named Jennifer Weary was released from prison after serving roughly 20 years for taking the breath out of her newborn. And then they're talking about some of the famous ones that are still in there, like Susan Smith, Diane Downs. So there's not really any that have gotten out in the United States. I asked the other, let me ask one more time. But Andrea Yates is still institutionalized. I'm doing that sigh like the Commonwealth. I looked up what that meant for a body language, and it means you're stress the F out. Yeah, it says Andrea Yates is still institutionalized at Caryville State Hospital in Texas. You are completely correct. She can't legally be sent to prison, but she's not legally free to leave the institution either.
Judge dismissed the jury for lunch, but we weren't quite done yet with the morning session. The judge held a voir dire of the witness from TikTok. Remember this? We talked about this, feels like months ago. It was just like 2 weeks ago. There's a woman who was watching the trial who used to work at McLean Hospital. Her name's Emily Thorndike. And she had an issue with the way the prosecution was painting conditions at McLean. Now, she did not work at this hospital at the time Lindsay was there, but she worked there in the past on the same wing. She made a TikTok video saying that what was described at the trial was inaccurate. And she ended up, the defense ended up getting a hold of the video. Someone sent them.
And we showed those videos yesterday. So if you're interested, you can go to those videos. I just really want to hear about the end of the trial. So let's just get it forward. But there's not much left that he talks about.
That can be admitted to identify the particular staff. I'd also like to point out that counsel is referring to offering this to rebut certain inferences or certain statements that the Commonwealth made in the direct examination of Mr. Clancy, but no one has said that McLean is a #1 hospital. That wasn't the testimony. That wasn't the question put before him.
Well, then it came time for the judge to rule. He said that considering the late disclosure of the witness, relative evidence is probative. He said that she was credible, but the judge found limited information on what could be offered by her because of the year gap when she stopped working and when Lindsay was treated. Probably would have been a different story if she had actually been there when Lindsay worked there, when Lindsay was a patient. And even had she treated Lindsay, or had she, been there the week before.
I think it had been a different story if she had been contacted and nobody knew she was from TikTok. I really believe that. I really believe it was a TikTok thing.
week after. The only people to see her testify was us and the people in the courtroom. So the jury didn't see any of that. They won't be told about any of that till after the fact if they go back and watch the trial. And then it was time for lunch. So she won't be admitted in. After lunch, there was an extended lunch break for, quote, some unforeseen circumstances. This is what the judge told the jury.
Due to an unforeseen circumstance, we're going to excuse you until tomorrow morning. All right. This is not something we saw coming, but you're not to speculate about what it is. You're not to hold it against either side. It's just something that we have to deal with.
And then not the entire internet running over to the other socials to speculate. It's been nothing but speculation.
All right. And so I'm going to excuse you till tomorrow morning. I'm going to remind you, as I have every night for the last number of weeks, don't do any research about this case. Don't talk about it. Don't read anything. Don't watch anything about this case or similar cases. And with that, we'll bring you back here. We will deal what we have to deal with, and we'll get right back on track. We are still well within the timeline that I gave you regarding this case. But it's just something we can't control. So I'm going to excuse you till tomorrow with my thanks for your patience. And I'll see you tomorrow morning.
And then everybody went home. Early day. So we'll be back tomorrow. We know that. Same time, same place. And
Of course, Nate isn't going to speculate. What did I expect? I did expect a little speculation, but oh well. Rats. Okay, so it's 9:31. I don't see them in court yet. But we're going to leave this up and leave it playing. I'm sure they're going to be here any moment. I'm going to go, finish brushing the teeth and getting everything ready. I saw them popping on with that pink support for Lindsay this morning. Solidarity, and I wanted to come on and see it. So I'm going to leave it playing. I'm here. I'm listening. I'll be right back. Be sure to give this live a thumbs up for me. Today we're coming to you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So hi, everybody. Hey guys, we're still waiting for court to start. Is anybody watching the Tupac trial? I've been meaning to look in on that, but I haven't. It's just so wild that like we listened to a lot of hip hop in college, and it's just wild to think that Puffy murdered him. But yeah, we're still waiting, and I'm getting some stuff together for break or for lunch break. I thought we would look at Dr. Jan Matthias of Hidden True Crime, his analysis on the Lindsay Clancy trial. If you guys weren't around, we have a playlist, a Hidden True Crime playlist, where they got themselves into trouble around I think it was around Thanksgiving last year, being internet bullies. So thought we would go over his analysis. But we're waiting. We're waiting. They should be there any minute now. Man, I'm starting to get nervous. Do you think there's going to be a court today? I got to sneeze. Hold on. Ah, excuse me. So I'm continuing. I'm here. I just we're waiting.
We're going to be in a short recess, and we're going to bring the jury back in, and we'll call the next witness. Okay?
Court, all rise.
Okay, he did his usual where they start it, they say good morning, and then they go right into a brief recess. They usually go over to the sidebar and they do the day's happenings, schedule what's going to go down. And yeah. I did find this. Let's look at this while we're waiting. I found another video of this morning's vigil for Lindsay, and I know here we have somebody talking. Or maybe not.
Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mic check 1, 2, 3.
How do I, just 1 second, guys, I'm sorry.
We're going at like 8:01 or 2 or 15 probably.
I found that I've been having to play with YouTube and not put like Lindsay Clancy trial day whatever, because if I do that, then it restricts my content to 18 and older. This case has been important to me to stream, but the algorithm hasn't been pushing me out there. So if you could do me a favor and share my content to your favorite platform, that would help a really small content creator out so much. Today we're coming to you on
Go ahead.
Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I can't tell. Do you guys prefer me pulling clips and showing you things in between? Or does it make you nervous, me like navigating away from the courtroom where we might miss something? Like, I don't know. I don't want you guys to worry that I won't get you back to where we were. But also, I get bored just looking at the thing, and I don't have that much to say without having a clip in front of me. So I just don't want you guys to leave because you don't see the court on break and think we're not watching the trial. That's why I keep mentioning that I got it up and I'm watching for those that are coming in. That's my fear. Oh, that's me. I'm such a, like, when I'm in my zone, like the camera could be up my nose and I wouldn't realize it until, like, oh, shoot. Is he going to talk? Or is it just like behind the scenes stuff? Wait, maybe right here. Well, let's look at the women in the back. It looks like there's a lot of uh crone matriarchal type women, which is good to see. Here, she looks like she's working for the press, so we can't really count her. I see a few men in the background. There's a man. There's a man. There's a man. You see women of all ages, races,
Oh, hand in hand, standing
dare I
united. And this
say
is
sexual orientation. I don't want to like label someone, but I thought I saw a few that were probably more on the masculine side. So there's just like all different types of women coming together, and women and men coming together.
all in support for Lindsay Clancy. Listen, we were expecting dozens of people to show up, but you take a look at our drone ranger flying high, you can see this crowd is a little bit more than 100. And again, we're
Oh, okay.
still about an hour away from when court actually starts. These
I thought I saw about a couple hundred, but I'm interested to see the drone.
people all here just to show support for Lindsay Clancy. And as a matter of fact, I was able to speak to the organizer that put this whole thing together. She actually lives in Maine, had to wake up this morning at 2 just to be able to be here, because she says this is not just a trial of a woman who's accused of killing her kids. This is about mental health. This is about women's health. And it was imperative for them to be able to be out here. Of course, this comes after what was an intense day in the courtroom. We learned a little bit more about Lindsay, the person, in the days, the months, and the years after the incident. In fact, we heard from a forensic psychologist who met with Lindsay 11 days after the killings. And he said flat out, using his expertise, Clancy was suffering from bipolar disorder, postpartum psychosis, saying she was unable to conform her behaviors to the rule of the law. Therefore, she's not criminally responsible. But when it comes to that voice that was in Lindsay's head, the prosecutors say something doesn't add up.
Why did he just stop?
And I'll stand like right here. Can you see that at all? Now, over my shoulder, it may be hard to see, but people are lining up because Lindsay Clancy is expected to be arriving anytime soon. We, of course, will keep you guys
So
up.
we've watched when she was arriving. So maybe this will be a different vantage point.
Updated with what happens in court. Today is expected to be a full day of testimony. For right now, we're live here in Plymouth. Manoj Kongwari, back to you.
It's so good to see all the women out there gathering.
What are you trying to get over here? What's that? We can go live at 9. It's fine to me.
Let's go listen
Thank
to
you.
let's go listen to Kevin again because we didn't quite hear everything he said. Oh, you've been watching the Tupac trials? Man, I wish I could multitask like that.
How do you think it's going, your case?
Never predict, I mean, we got jurors that are spending literally 5 weeks of their time on this case, which I love that. I think it's amazing. It's been going good.
You've been here weeks and you've been having your eyes on the jury. They've been taking lots of notes. What are you thinking? Do you feel confident that
They're very, very attentive, and they're putting a lot of work. They always do. They put a lot of work into the case. It's very moving for them. They don't forget it.
right?
Mr. Reddington, what's your message to all these folks who are here today?
Thank you. That's all I can say. It's amazing.
We love you, Kevin.
Kevin, are you surprised at just how much attention this case has gotten? I mean, people are coming from Maine.
It's the
Philadelphia.
message. It really is. It's the message that just has reverberated, throughout the whole country.
What is that
Reddington's
message?
fighting for women's rights
No, I
for
don't-
health
I
care.
think that it's the mental health system. I hate to use the word health care because unfortunately in this case we can see it hasn't been health care. And I think that it shines a light on this issue. I mean, when a woman is going through what so many people do and they go to a doctor and the doctor says, here, take this pill, take that pill, take this pill, and then they basically treat them for 15, 20 minutes and send them on their way. It's just not right.
And to those who can't wrap their heads around sympathizing with a mother who killed her 3 children, what do you say to them?
I think it's almost like when you're picking a jury and sometimes somebody will say, well, I don't agree with, this allegation of murder. I mean, none of us do. But that's what we have juries for. They pass between the government and a defendant to see if they can prove their case.
What do you think?
aware of the support and what does she think of this?
I'm going to go in and see her right now. I'm sure that she is, and if she isn't, she will be.
What do you think about it?
She's so beat up and just so sad.
Yeah.
It'll really help her out, I think.
Tell her we love her. What do you think about you being the advocate for all women right now?
I'm not an advocate.
You are.
Hey, let the man get to work. He's got a busy day. He's got a busy day.
I think this guy right here, I think is the guy that I saw do the interview with Brian Entenman, and he was the one giving the description of the jury. I've got that ready to go for the first break where we can see how the jury is behaving. I think that he's the guy. I think his name is Joe.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Reddington.
But like he goes in and tells who's been sitting in the courtroom, and he talks about the first 2 rows. And so, yeah, I like to know what's going on in the courtroom. I'm a looky-loo, so I like to know those type of things. So we'll see if you guys like to know too.
What do you think about the temporary
Kevin,
how you doing today?
How you doing, brother?
Good.
To see you.
Save me a couple seats.
Yes, I will.
You were saying
I
women.
don't know who that is.
Kevin Redding fan.
He did also say that Lindsay Clancy's side of the courtroom is filled. They usually reserve the first 2 rows for the, like Lindsay's side is her, and Patrick or the state side is the other few rows, and nobody's sitting in the rows for the prosecutor or Patrick or whatever, the Commonwealth, except 2 women, and they believe those 2 women work for the state. So, but Lindsay's side is filled.
Kevin, do you anticipate closing today? Sorry, I might have missed Monday. Closing on Monday? Thank you. How many more witnesses?
I know, and I would be exhausted. He looked a little exhausted yesterday. He looks a little more refreshed today, but it's still early, right? He hasn't had to endure any of the Bow twins bullshit yet. But yeah, he looked a little exhausted to me yesterday. And I've heard that Lindsay's really exhausted too. Like, they described the way she is every single day, and he talked about like how most people, they look around the jury, they look around the galley, they look out into the who's sitting there, and I guess Lindsay doesn't do any of that. She just they wheel her in, and she just looks straight ahead. She does make some eye contact with some of her doctors when they're on the stand, but like other than that, like when it gets too overwhelming or whatever, she just looks straight forward, and that's really overwhelming to do that all day long and not look around or yeah. So but apparently, Lindsay's she doesn't want to be there. No, but the only people that really want to be there seems to be is the Commonwealth. Okay, they're back.
Court is back in session. Please be seated.
I hope they tell us what happened yesterday.
All right.
They better not
Counsel,
just
we,
act like
ready for the
nothing
jury?
happened.
Yes, Your Honor. All right. Okay, bring it.
Bet you they will. Just act like the end of yesterday never happened. I'll stop talking once it starts. My collagen came in yesterday, so I've got some collagen filled coffee, some high protein goodies. Help yourself. Be sure to hit that like button for me, guys. Junie and I are ready.
Hey, all persons having anything to do before the honor.
He said she doesn't even really interact with Reddington like most people do. Most defendants.
God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Court is now in session. Please be seated.
Yes.
I don't know. This sounds off. I might pop us over to Court TV.
Assistant District Attorney represented by Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Sprague, and Assistant District Attorney Shannon Hopkins.
That's better. The sound
Thank you,
better.
Madam Clerk. Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you again. I know I just spoke to you probably about 10 minutes ago. But again, I want to ask you those questions, then we'll talk a little bit about what our schedule is today and for the rest of the week. All right, so first question, has any member of the jury read, seen, heard, or overheard anything from any source about any aspect of this case that would affect your ability to be fair and impartial as a juror? Next, is there any other serious matter or concern bearing on your service as a juror that anybody needs to bring to my attention at this time? All right, again, thank you for following those instructions. And then in regards to our schedule today, you're allowed to kind of roll your eyes because I'm going to say we're going to have kind of a short day today. All right. And that is, as I talked to you yesterday about an issue that has nothing to do with any of the attorneys in this case. All right. It's just something we're going to work out and I anticipate it will be worked out so that tomorrow you should count on a lengthier day. All right. I talked to counsel earlier this morning in regards to where we are in regards to the schedule and the timeline. We are still, if not on schedule, still ahead of schedule. All right. And this delay that we may have a little bit this afternoon won't affect that. All right. So I just kind of wanted to let you know that I appreciate it. I know you came in here this morning. It's going to be a short day, but also gear up for a longer day tomorrow. Okay. And so with that, the other thing is I told you it's got nothing to do with any of the attorneys, but it's also or the parties. So you're not to speculate about what this might be. It's also you're not to hold it against either of the parties in regards to this. All right. If you're going to hold it against anybody, you can hold it against me. All right. So with that, we're going to return now to the evidence in this case. And Attorney Reddington.
Thank you. Sheila Kavanaugh, please. Let's see.
Good morning. You just face Madam Clerk, raise your right hand, please.
The testimony of the evidence you shall give to the court. Sorry, the outcome between the Commonwealth and the with the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Yes. Thank you. You have a seat.
Just watch your step right there.
All right. Well, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
All right. I just ask you to speak into that microphone and keep your voice up so the jury can hear you. Attorney Reddington.
Thank you. Good morning. Can you tell us your name and spell your last name, please?
My name is Sheila Kavanaugh, Cavanaughh.
And what town do you live in?
I live in the town of Belmont, Massachusetts.
And what are you doing for work now?
I am a board certified chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston.
And I didn't know that there were board certified chaplains. What does that mean?
Well, to become board certified, you need minimally a master's degree in theology or divinity. You need to complete 1,600 hours of training post your master's degree. 1,200 of those hours are occur in a clinical setting, and 400 of those hours are in a classroom setting where we study various disciplines: psychology, sociology, philosophy, theology, and ethics. Beyond that training, we need to acquire 2,000 hours of additional clinical training before we can even apply for board certification. And we have to demonstrate mastery of 30 competencies before we go to a national board, and they make the assessment. I also need an ecclesiastical endorsement, and in my case, that was from the Archdiocese of Boston, from Cardinal Sean O'Malley.
And before you obtained the board certification in your education to allow you to be a chaplain, what did you do for work?
Prior to becoming a chaplain, which is a second career for me, I was a senior vice president at Fidelity Investments in Boston.
And how long were you senior VP at Fidelity?
16 years.
And are you married?
I am.
You have a family?
I do. My husband and I are the parents of 4 adopted children. When I was pursuing my master's degree at Boston College, it was a 3-year master's, but it took me 5 years because we adopted our 4th child while I was in graduate school. She was a 14-year-old girl from Bogota, Colombia.
And how long have you been working now as a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital?
7 years.
In the course of your duties as a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital, did circumstances bring you in contact with Lindsay Clancy?
Yes, they did.
Can you tell the jurors what happened?
I arrived on the morning of Wednesday, January 25th, 2023. I arrived at approximately 8:30 that morning because I was there to relieve the overnight chaplain who was carrying the pager. I was taking over the pager shift, which went from 9 to 1 p.m., although I was working a full day. When I arrived that morning, she said to me, "Did you hear the news?" And
So
sustain.
Okay.
So you can't, you got to object, so you can't say what someone told you, okay? That's hearsay?
okay.
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 So I can say, as a result of a conversation with that person, what happened?
I was summoned to the director of spiritual care's office.
Did you have a conversation with her?
I did.
All right. And as a result of that conversation, what did you do?
I went to Unit 8C in the Tower building of Brigham to meet with Lindsay Clancy.
And what time of day was this?
Roughly between 8:30 and 9:30 that morning.
And when you went in to see Lindsay, what did you observe?
Well, the unit itself was filled with law enforcement officers, both outside the doors of the unit. There was Brigham security, but the unit itself was flooded. There were people from Plymouth County, Boston City Police, Brigham Security. So I had to make my way through concentric circles of law enforcement to even get to the room. I was permitted to see Lindsay, although she could not speak at that time.
And what was her condition that you observed?
She was dressed in medical armor. She had tubes. She was intubated. She had bandages. She had a neck brace. She was just covered and layered in equipment that enabled her to breathe.
I'm showing you Exhibit 121 and asking, this may be South Shore, or it could be Brigham and Women's, but is this indicative of what she appeared to be when you first saw her?
That looks like it's from South Shore because when, yes.
Does she have the same?
Similar.
Very similar?
Very similar.
That?
Yes, very similar.
Did you see her again on another date?
I did. I saw her the next day. Again, she could not speak. She was intubated as well. That was the first week that she was hospitalized.
When was the next time that you saw her?
The next time I saw her was the following week. I have a calendar here of my visits. I saw her on Tuesday, January 31st, and she had been extubated at that point so she could speak.
So the tube had been removed. She was able to communicate, and that was on January 31st?
I believe she was extubated the weekend of the 28th, but I didn't work that weekend, so I saw her on Tuesday, the 31st.
All right. Tell the jurors what you observed and what, if any, conversation you had with Lindsay on the 31st. And let me ask you, how long had it been that they removed the tube?
Perhaps a day or two.
A day or two, okay. Tell the jurors what she said to you.
She continued to look like the photograph you just saw. She was covered, tubes everywhere, the neck brace. Her emotional state was very neutral, a flat affect. But I remember vividly the first thing she said to me. Now, she had heard me for a couple of days. We had been praying together. And so when I went in on Tuesday, the 31st, she said to me as I held her hand to comfort her, "I am so glad my children are safe."
Was there any other conversation that you had with her?
I replied theologically to Lindsay, and I said, "Lindsay, your children are safe. They're safe in heaven with God." And I held her hand throughout that conversation, and we prayed for them.
Did she make any other statements to you?
She did. She alluded to having heard a voice, and the voice, according to Lindsay, told her that if she did not follow the command, neither she nor her children would be safe.
And did she indicate whether it was a male voice, a female voice, loud, soft?
She alluded to the fact that it was a male voice and it was persistent.
Any further conversation that you recall about that, not about general things, you know?
That came up several times. I visited Lindsay minimally 14 times while she was hospitalized at the Brigham, and the voice conversation came up several times during several of our visits.
Now, after Lindsay was transferred or cleared to go from Brigham and Women's Hospital, did she go to another facility?
She did. She went to Spalding Rehabilitation Hospital.
And do you know when that was?
That was roughly late February, perhaps around the 23rd.
And did you continue to see Lindsay at Spalding Rehab?
I did.
Do you know when she left Spalding Rehab?
In the late March, early April time frame, perhaps.
Okay. Now, Brigham and Women's Hospital and Spalding Rehab are under the same umbrella of hospitals. Is that right?
They are. So Brigham and Women's Hospital and Spalding Rehab are under the Mass General Brigham complex. So for me to visit Lindsay in Spalding, I was still within the same hospital complex, and her psychiatrist at Spalding, as well as the chaplains, advised me to continue.
You can't say what anybody told you.
Oh, sorry.
So when she was discharged from Spalding Rehab, where did she go?
She went to Tewksbury State Hospital.
And fair to say that that would be back around February. It's been a little more than 3 years, 3.5 years.
Yes.
Is that correct? Now, when you saw her in Spalding Rehab and in Brigham and Women's, you were acting in the course of your job. Is that right?
That's correct.
You're being compensated, you're getting your paycheck and that type of thing.
Yes.
How many times have you seen Lindsay at Tewksbury Hospital?
Perhaps 200 times.
Tell the jury why you continue to see her for 200.
Sustained.
So can you tell us how often on a weekly basis you would see her at Tewksbury?
Yes. When Lindsay was admitted to Tewksbury State Hospital, I continued to see her on a weekly basis. We had built up a very comfortable, respectful rapport, and I felt it was in her best interest to continue that as she healed. She was still in deep grief. She was suffering.
Sustained.
So
that opinion will be stricken.
So did she express anything about her children and their loss over that period of 200 times that you saw her thereabouts in Tewksbury?
Objection.
No, overruled.
Yes.
Other jurors?
Lindsay talks frequently about her children. She loves them deeply. She carries immense grief.
Objection.
Overruled. Next question, though.
And has that continued to your observation?
It continues presently.
When was the last time that you saw Lindsay in Tewksbury?
Just prior to the trial starting.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Kamal?
Thank you. Excuse me. Good morning.
Good morning.
You were talking about on January 25th, 2023, when you first saw Lindsay in direct examination, and you said that there were a lot of police officers in the area, correct?
Correct.
But you mentioned that some of them were security personnel from the hospital, correct?
Correct.
And you're aware that the security personnel for the hospital don't work for the state police, the Duxbury Police, or the Plymouth County DA's office, correct?
Correct.
So they're separate and apart from law enforcement, correct?
Yes.
And then are you also aware that on January 25th, 2023, there was a search warrant being executed to collect evidence from the defendant and from the belongings that she had at the hospital?
No, I was not aware of that.
Were you aware that that collection of the search warrant required state police and personnel from the crime lab to be present for the collection of evidence?
I was not aware of that.
Were you aware that following that, at any given time, there were only 2 officers, either Duxbury Police, State Police, or Plymouth County Sheriffs, at her room, the defendant's room, at any given time?
I do recall that.
And they were stationed outside of her room, correct, in the hallway?
Yes.
So that the only time you saw this large amount of officers present was on the 25th, when there were security from the hospital and search warrants being executed, correct?
Perhaps.
Now, you mentioned that on January 31st, 2023, you spoke to the defendant and she told you that she heard a voice telling her that if she did not follow the command, neither she nor her children would be safe, correct?
Correct.
You wrote very detailed notes that are contained in the Brigham and Women's Hospital records regarding your interactions with Lindsay Clancy, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And in all of these notes that detail every time you interacted with her, you never once wrote that she told you she heard a voice or what that voice said, correct?
Correct.
And you also said that this voice, talking about the voice, came up in several of your meetings, correct?
Correct.
And you never once wrote about any of it in any of your very detailed notes, correct?
Well, chaplain notes are not verbatim transcripts of patient conversations. I'm not there to evaluate the patient. I'm there to bear witness to their suffering.
Okay, but the question was, you did not document those statements in your notes, correct?
Correct.
But you did document some other statements in those notes, correct?
Perhaps.
For example, on February 6th, 2023, in a note that you wrote regarding your interaction with the defendant, you said that, or you wrote, Lindsay welcomed the visit and shared her fears of, quote, not being able to walk again, end quote. She continued to express her fears of how her inability to walk may make her vulnerable to others in the future. Do you recall writing that?
Yes.
Do you recall writing on February 9th, 2023, that the defendant was sitting in a chair adjacent to her bed and appeared to be visibly engaged, energized, and hopeful than in previous visits? Do you recall that?
Yes.
You also wrote in that note, Lindsay spoke hopefully of being discharged when the time arrives to Spalding, correct?
Correct.
And then in February 13th, 2023, you wrote in your note that Lindsay also expressed hopefulness in relation to her physical progress. She feels she has gained considerable physical strength and agility despite an inability to move her legs. She admitted that she feels, quote, deserving of this, end quote, in light of recent events. Do you remember writing that?
Yes.
Do you remember on February 16th, 2023, that you wrote in a note that the defendant expressed hopefulness with the news of her anticipated discharge to Spalding and seemed uplifted that she would be cared for in a facility with an excellent reputation?
Yes.
Do you recall writing on February 16th, 2023, that Paula, the defendant's mother, and Lindsay, the defendant, were playing a card game as they communed quietly, and that Lindsay expressed hopefulness with the news of her anticipated discharge to Spalding and seemed uplifted?
Yes.
And again, you've got all these details about her feelings and her thoughts and what she's doing, but nothing about the voices that you spoke of so many times, correct?
Correct.
And speaking of Spalding, you continued to visit her at Spalding, correct?
Yes.
In those conversations with her at Spalding, did she tell you that how in those first weeks at Spalding, that part of her physical therapy, she was working out with a yellow exercise band? No?
I don't recall her telling me that.
Did she tell you that during that time at Spalding, she reached out to a social worker there and asked for help filling out SSDI paperwork to get an income?
That would be beyond the scope of our conversation.
She didn't tell you those things?
No.
Thank you.
So, counsel has asked you about her filling out a form for SSDI. Were you aware of what expenses her family and were incurring as a result of her physical incapacity, paralysis, and being in the hospital?
From my experience with thousands of patients, I had a very clear idea of the enormous expense.
There's a difference between, as the district attorney very appropriately referred to, that your comments were about her thoughts and her appearance and her feelings. Is that correct?
Correct.
There's a difference, however, between privileged communications with a chaplain and observations of a person's feelings and thoughts, correct?
Correct.
Tell the jury what effect privileged communication has when someone talks to you personally as a chaplain.
Because I'm not a medically trained clinician, I approach patients in a vortex of trust. Some of our chaplains at the Brigham are ordained clergy. And so there's this understanding that when a patient interacts with a chaplain, the conversations are confidential.
Do you put them in medical records?
No.
The words, like Lindsay indicated that she felt uplifted, I think the counsel read that twice. Were those your notes, or is that what she said to you? Did she say, "I feel uplifted," or is that
That
your
was my
observation?
perception of Lindsay. It was not her words.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Como?
You said you're not allowed to put the defendant's words in your medical records, is that correct?
No, that's not correct. It's not that I'm not allowed. It's an understanding, and it's a conversation that's held in confidence with the patient.
Then why are there direct quotes in these medical records from the defendant?
Well, they're not verbatim transcripts.
No, not a transcript of the whole conversation, but you put phrases in quotes. For example, on February 6, 2023, where it says Lindsay welcomed the visit and shared her fears of, quote, not being able to walk again. So those were her words in your note, in quotes, in the medical record, correct?
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
I use my best judgment.
Okay. I would move to have you submitted as the next exhibit, the notes of the witness in her interactions with Ms. Clancy at the Brigham and Women's.
Any objection? No. All right. They may be admitted.
I have no further questions. Sorry.
Hey, Mr. Reddington, go ahead.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. You may step down. All right, counsel, can I see you?
Okay, so we just heard a chaplain that visited her at a number of facilities say that she did, in fact, hear Lindsay Clancy say she heard a male voice. It's been very specific that on that night she heard a male voice, and now we're hearing that it was a repeated male voice that night, and she has not heard these voices before that night or since that night, but she heard that male voice, but she had heard some voices, but it was never quite figured out if the voice was her voice or different voices. But so I believe what Reddington's trying to do is just show that Lindsay had indeed heard some voices. Many conspiracy theorists think that voice, that male voice, that one and only male voice that she heard that night was Patrick's voice. That's what the conspiracists will tell you. Welcome in, everybody. If you're interested, there was a vigil, a silent vigil held for Lindsay this morning. A group of women, and mostly women and a few men, gathered, about 100. And wore pink in solidarity for Lindsay. We went over that this morning. And then we went over yesterday's courtroom antics. So, and now they are on a break. I'm thinking I need to be outside today, so I might come in under a different account and put myself up on the screen that way. I don't know. I'm trying to think outside of the box. Hey, Rosie. Good morning. How were you this morning, Rose? I feel wore out, but I'm pushing through because I don't want some people to win. So I'm pushing through it.
All right. I told you it was going to be a short day for you, right? And I appreciate your
Really?
patience with us. So I'm going to excuse you till tomorrow at 9. All right? Same instructions. And that includes reading anything.
What in the
talking
hellio?
about this case, watching anything. Just don't do it. All right? And when you leave here today, just drive, go home, wherever you're going to go, and plan on being back here tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. The plan would be that it will be it will be a longer day than today. I appreciate you coming in here today. We moved the case a little bit today, and I appreciate that. So we're able to do that. So I hope everybody has a nice
Red looks
afternoon
PO'd. Look at,
and
he's
evening.
got the red
We'll
on
see
his
you tomorrow
face.
morning for a longer day. And just remember those instructions from the moment you leave to the moment you come here tomorrow. Okay?
I wonder
Again,
if they're going to do any behind the scenes stuff in the courtroom after the jury leaves. I guess we'll see.
thank you so much.
I'm glad I came on early today, so I could at least hang out with you guys for a little while. We'll see. We'll see if they're going to do something else in the court while the jury's out. There's the Bow twins. Bow one's got a black bow in.
Sure, that's it. The court will close the session. Please be seated.
All right. So what we'll do is we'll take a short break at this point. We'll come back. We'll do kind of a preliminary charge conference. We're going to just, which I know council knows, but for everybody else, discuss possible jury instructions, suggestions from council. Then we can talk about any logistical issues that we have for tomorrow. And then we'll probably recess at that point. All right, so this will be a short recess, and we'll come back up. Thank you.
All right, this judge and his recesses, he takes a lot of them. Do we really need this recess? I don't think we do. Get me in that courtroom so I can run it. Do we really need this? I don't think so. Okay, so while they're on the short recess, let me pop us over to this this Brian Entenman
Like it's
interview
just genuine. Like
where he talks about what's going on inside the courtroom. This is a little old. This was before Red even started putting on his defense. So this was what was happening in the court while the prosecution had control, while the Commonwealth had control. But I don't imagine it changed too much.
he genuinely cares about that woman and that family. You know, I mean, he's taken that case on for 3 years, and when you're sitting in there watching it, it's just super evident that, you know, this is a guy fighting for not just her, but the bigger picture of women's mental health, which, you know, some people just aren't hearing it. I don't care. I'm going to keep screaming it from the rooftops because it's what this is. It really is. It is what it is, in my estimation.
So what is it like? I guess what's the layout of the courtroom? Are there a lot of people watching? Kind of where do you sit? Are there other family members there? Like, I guess kind of what's the vibe like?
All right. So it's not a huge courtroom. It's certainly not the size of what Reed's was in Dedham. So it's a fair, I'd say 75. That's a guess. So you basically have it split in both sides like they always do. And then you have your well of the courtroom. The jury, if you're facing the benches over to the left, they've got all 18 of them sitting in there. Pool cameras kind of right in front of our side, which is the media side, which is the state side, the Commonwealth side of the courtroom is where all the media sits. So the pool camera kind of blocks the view of the jury a little bit, which is a little annoying, but you know, I'm glad they're there. And then on the defense side, that's where Lindsay's family sits. So they have 4 or 5 rows dedicated to media. The first 2 rows, which are typically designated for family, on the Commonwealth side, interestingly, have been empty, but for 2 women that I've seen sitting there who I believe work in the courthouse in some capacity. I don't know if they're other ADAs. I don't know if they're victims advocates. I don't know what they're doing there, but they don't appear to me to be anything related to Patrick Clancy or the Clancy family. So, but on Lindsay's side, it's packed every day, you know. So you've got the first 2 rows. In the first row, she has her 2 nurses that are sitting in the first row directly behind her. Behind the 2 nurses is Lindsay's family, so her mother and her father. Her sister's been there.
I agree. It's really annoying, and also on top of it all, like all the breaks they take, it's annoying. But I mean, yeah, who are we? Who am I?
As we know, Father Bob was there one day. And
For the jury, they maybe if they had something else to do, like they're taking this other break, and I don't know how long they're going to go on this. Maybe if it takes up the whole morning, I can kind of see it. Like they had all this, you know, stuff to do. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It's also annoying that they're not telling us what's going on. They're like doing these, like, you know, nobody panic, but we're gonna like go on a break and don't jump to conclusions, and then the next day don't say anything. It's weird, but whatever.
And behind them, there's other folks who I'm not exactly sure who they are in terms of the relation to Lindsay, but and then behind that, the general public. So there's about 3 or 4 rows of kind of, they're like pews really, because they're not seats, in the back, and they've been packed, especially towards the end of last week. Like after Lindsay's collapse that day, the next day, it's been picking up steam, the case, as it's been going on, as it gets closer and closer to the defense's case in chief, I think, and as social media and mainstream media is picking up how important this case is, the interest is rising. So you know, it's been pretty packed, and I anticipate it's going to be pretty packed the rest of the way through.
And so she has 2 nurses. Is that what you said, sitting right behind her?
Yes.
What do they do?
So typically during the proceedings themselves, nothing. They're just sitting there. If in case she needs it, they're there. So when the judge takes a break or calls it for the day, the nurses are the one who tend to her. They get her out into the holding cell that's off to the right of the courtroom. And I'm assuming that back there, if she needs any kind of medical care, that they're providing it. You know, I mean, with her injuries, there's a lot of things that can go wrong, like in terms of her breathing and things of that nature. I mean, she crushed the thyroid, she, shattered her spine. So it's, she's not in a normal condition in any capacity. So, and people have been asking over on my channel whether or not there were nurses there. So I made it a point to try to figure out if those in fact were the nurses, because they were the only two sitting in that front row.
Yeah, because, and I don't know, like, I'm not an expert on this, but some people in a wheelchair, they don't need nurses necessarily. They just, are in a wheelchair. I guess there must be something else going on maybe with her beyond just being.
Well, she's got 2 nurses, and if she's, injured from the waist or from the, I guess she can move her arms, but like from the chest down. And like we talked about the bathroom issues that she has to have and the help that she needs for that alone. And this guy's talking about her having breathing issues, and when she had her breakdown, and yeah, who knows what else. I don't know what else the nurses do, maybe helping her for transport and moving her around, and also she's under that watch, so she is never alone anyway. So I can see why they would just add another nurse, because one nurse probably can't be there all the time, because that nurse is going to have to use the bathroom or eat or do something at one point in time. So that's probably why there's 2 nurses.
Paralyzed,
Yeah, I think it might be, if there's a situation wherein, like, on the day where she broke down and she's sobbing hysterically, I don't know if that could potentially create like a breathing issue for her. It's like her breathing isn't the same as the rest of ours due to the severity of the injuries from what I've been told. So, but I mean, she's in there every day, and it's telling because, Brian, I know you've covered a ton of cases. You've been in the courtroom for a ton of stuff. And, generally speaking, defendants will kind of like glance around the courtroom. It's not unusual to see them kind of looking over the counsel table, before the proceedings start, to kind of look back and see who's in the gallery. Lindsay never does any of that. She never does any of that. They roll her in the morning, they position her, and she almost exclusively looks straight ahead. I mean, if there's witnesses on the stand, like with the doctors and the health service providers, she was making eye contact with them, so she was engaged at least with her eyeballs as far as that. But, when it's stuff that she's not really able to handle emotionally, she's like just kind of like looking straight forward. And there's not a ton of communication between Kevin and Lindsay. Like, she's not a super engaged defendant in the sense which Kevin probably told her, because us as lawyers.
We did see her for the first time yesterday write a note when when Bo 1 was being especially thing 1, Bo 1 was being especially brutal, but
I'm trying to listen to a direct examination. It's important because if I need to add questions in my cross, I have to be able to listen to what they're asking. I also need to object if I need to. And I know a lot of people talk about the leading that the Commonwealth has been doing throughout their entire case.
Good morning to everybody just joining us. So court is in session. They had one person, a chaplain, come in and testify that to Lindsay, she said that she heard voices, but then she never put that in her notes. She never wrote those in her notes. But to her, she was saying that that was private information and she wouldn't put that type of stuff in the notes. Bo made the argument that she put other notes in the notes. So anyway, that's what happened. And then they went right away to recess. They came back and the judge dismissed the jury, said it was going to be a super short day. They're back in, they went right back to recess, and they're going to come back and work out the logistics. I guess they're going to work out what the instructions to the jury, and then they're going to recess for the day. And tomorrow apparently is going to be a longer day. While we're waiting, we're going over, this guy has been in the courtroom and he's telling us basically the mood, the temperature of the courtroom while we're waiting for them to come back. So welcome in, everyone. Welcome to the Power Network. I'm Amy.
strategically, I think that Reddington is picking his battles. They're leading so much that if he was constantly objecting to the leading, I think it might be off-putting to the jury. And he's got such a way about him in terms of the courtroom. It's kind of like watching Matlock in there. He's got this special ability to be able to make a cross-examination seem like a conversation that occasionally gets a little heated. He's mastered the art of the cross-examination. So he's always interesting to watch for sure.
Yeah, I want to ask you a little more about him in a second, because regardless of how you feel about Lindsay, I think most people would agree that he's doing a really good job. But I guess when I've covered cases and been in courtrooms, you see the defendant and sometimes they're shackled when they come in, and then they'll undo the shackles depending on what the judge's order is during the trial. Yeah. But something about her being in the wheelchair, it's just such an unusual kind of situation. Like it's hard to even, that she is in jail. It's kind of hard to imagine based on her sort of like the way she physically looks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And and you feel that more when you get in the courtroom, especially because it's like when you're sitting there and hopefully you're going to make it towards the end. Because you look at her, and I have great empathy for her, and I understand that there's folks out there that don't, that feel a certain way, and that's their prerogative. But as far as I feel, I just feel that she was failed by the system miserably. I think that we've seen enough of that evidence to know that this wasn't some charade that she was playing in order to make it look like she was desperately trying to get well. And I think when that evidence came out, it became pretty evident to me that, some of the narratives I was hearing coming into the trial were inaccurate and what was true.
Aw, thank you, Rose. I really appreciate you, Rose, Carolina, LuLaRue, who's been hiding out, she says, and Carrie, and I can't think of the other people that have stopped by and watched with us, but I really appreciate you all.
What was true. And when Tufts is saying, when asked, it's like she was not doctor searching, right? And the Commonwealth's witness said no, she wasn't. Was she pill seeking? No, she wasn't. I mean, the woman wasn't right, and she knew she wasn't right, and she was really doing everything in her power to fix that. And unfortunately, the biggest nightmare that you can imagine ends up happening at the end of the day. But in terms of just kind of being in the same room with her and kind of looking at it, and you have this image of just this lone attorney and this woman in a wheelchair sitting at that table and nobody else, because you know how it is. I mean, if you get like your Brian Kobergers or any, your Alec Murdochs, you have a team of defense lawyers just sitting there. And I mean, it goes to what Kevin Reddington is as a defense attorney. I mean, he tries a case alone, which is incredibly difficult to do, because when you get there and you look, he's just got all the records piled up on his desk, and he knows the facts of the case like the back of his hand. Like he's never sitting at a lectern going through printed off cross-examination questions. When you see him with a piece of paper in his hand, it's a report that he's questioning a witness on. I mean, I don't fanboy over many lawyers, being a defense attorney myself. Yeah. I've told Kevin in no uncertain terms, I'm like, man, I love watching him. I love watching him operate in there. He's just a phenomenal defense attorney. And he's, to me, a credit to that part of the bar, the defense bar. He's doing us all proud.
Yeah, and just thinking about when this does wind down and there's a deliberation and a verdict, I don't know, even if she gets not guilty of murder, it just seems like her life is going to be so miserable. There's really no celebration either way. I think no matter people watching this, if they're on one side or the other, would she even be relieved if she gets out? I mean, you don't really get that sense watching it.
No, she does not want to be trying this case. I mean, like when I say that she's over it. I mean, she's over it, and that's coming directly from Kevin. And he said it before the trial started. He's like, she is where she is, and the fact of the matter is there's no prison on earth that's worse than the prison that is in her mind. I mean, she's living with what's happened and what she's lost every second of every day. I mean, that's just a fact. It's not lost on her. It's all the stuff we're seeing on the internet. It's like this woman knows what happened. She knows who did it. And it wasn't Patrick Clancy, it was Lindsay Clancy. And she's going to have to grapple with that for the rest of her life. And how do you grapple with that? You know what I mean? There's no getting over it ever. Yeah. So it's like whatever. And people, I don't know if they think that if they say not guilty by reason of what we call insanity, but it's here. It's lack of criminal responsibility. She's not like wheeling herself out of the courtroom. She's going to be committed. She's going to be institutionalized. She's going to be evaluated annually. And if she's a threat,
I've been noticing a lot of things. I live in Florida, not far from the Villages, and I've been noticing a lot of advertisement for STEM therapy that's supposed to really help your back and help you get, especially if you have nerve issues. And I just wonder if the way advancements in medicine has been, if they'll ever be able to fix spines in people like Lindsay. So I just wonder that, because I'm like a conspiracy theorist, and I've just noticed, like, around here there's basic first it came out that, like, the churches were teaching each other how to protect each other from incoming doom. And now they've reached out to, it's like the public in general. They're teaching these classes on how to protect people from incoming doom. And now I've noticed, like, all through the Villages, they're doing these stem cell things where if you buy one package of stem cells, you get another package free. It's just really interesting to me. Like, I notice patterns, and that's a pattern I'm starting to notice.
to herself or others, she stays in. And in my estimation, I don't know when she'll never not be a threat to herself just because of where her headspace is. I don't know if all the psychotherapy in the world can fix that. You know what I mean?
What's your, just again, because you have this,
I can't see how it would, unless you're a psychopath like Casey Anthony, because in the very beginning we looked in to see if any mother in the United States, it looks like there were some mothers in the UK that have unalived their kids and been set free, but there's no mother in the United States. AI listed Andrea Yates, but she's not free. Anytime she is in a psych facility, and anytime it comes up for her to even petition to be let go, she doesn't do it because she doesn't want to be let go. And some of the reasons she stated was she doesn't want society's pressures, judgments. She doesn't really feel, because of what she did, even though she did it in a state of psychosis, that she deserves to be free. I think what Lindsay is fighting for really is just to be able to go to a facility of her choice, because we've talked about it. No matter what happens here, she's got 3 things that can be done: and not guilty by reason of insanity, or guilty. So, but in all 3 of those scenarios, Lindsay goes away somewhere.
vantage point there from being in the courtroom that we don't have. What's your sense of the jury? Have you gotten a vibe from them? Are there certain ones that have stood out to you?
I've gotten the vibe that they're incredibly attentive. Like, I have not seen anybody like kind of just losing it in terms of like not really being invested in what's going on in front of them. They're paying rapt attention, and I would say that for all 18 of them. On like a Reddington cross, it's kind of like watching like a Wimbledon match. You'll have the question because he's standing here closer to the bar of the court, and then he'll ask the question, and then the jurors will look at the witness, and then he'll say something back, and then they'll look back. That's not happening as much with the ADAs. And the day of the collapses where she broke down, there was one juror in particular. Most of them were stealing glances at her. You know what I'm saying? Like, when she was hysterically crying and just so upset, and they would look over for a second and then kind of look back. But there was one juror in the second row who was female, who was locked on her. And I noticed that she had a tissue in her hand, and she would dab her eyes occasionally. And, that could mean a lot of things. That could be her feeling the death of the children. That could be her empathizing with Lindsay. It's hard to know, but it was like really the second time where I'd seen the jury like show some emotion. And, but to me, the most important thing is that they're paying attention. A lot of note takers. The breakdown is 12 women, 6 men. I think if I, kind of guessing on age, there's two women in the front row that I think are somewhere between late 20s, early 30s. I think they're the youngest on the jury. There's one black male juror. I would say a bulk of the jury is somewhere. There's one senior, probably in his senior male. He's probably in his early 70s, maybe mid 70s. And then I would say the bulk of the rest is somewhere in the, mid 40s to mid 60s, so, and I don't, in this type of case, for a defense attorney, when you're trying to figure out like, well, who would be the perfect juror in a case like this one's so hard. Is it men? I don't know. Is it young moms? I don't know. I don't think so. In my estimation as well, the younger generation is far more in tune with mental health and mental health issues than, like the Gen X and especially like the boomers, as they like to call them. They're just not as in touch with it. It's just a different mindset through the generations. And like my 20-year-old daughter's very, very intuitive about her own emotions and her own mental health. And most kids in that kind of age
So
range
I've really found that to be true, because I've noticed that each social platform tracks a certain generation, and Facebook is very boomerish, and Facebook has been brutal, absolutely brutal, when it comes to their thoughts on Lindsay Clancy. They're brutal on everything. Facebook is just a brutal place right now, just a brutal playground.
are. So I was coming into it thinking, yeah, maybe I would like to have like more young people on the jury, just because you're like Reddington really has to be able to convince the jury to follow the law, ultimately at the end of the day, which is a really, really tough ask. It just is. They don't call the insanity defense the defense of last resort for nothing. It's really, really hard to sell juries on it. You see it online. There's people that want an eye for an eye. They don't care why she did it. They don't care if she was in psychosis. Fact of the matter is that she did what she did and she has to pay for it. You know what I mean? So it's like when you have those folks on the jury that just kind of feel like that, it's like a lot of Americans are, that eye for an eye thing is a real thing. And, and I'm no one to judge that that's how they shouldn't feel. I mean, yeah, I apply the law, but I'm a lawyer. You know what I mean? I have a different mindset on it. So it's like, but I understand what the general public's position on that is. And it's a big ask. It's just a bit, no matter what's going to happen to her, even though she's going to be hospitalized, uttering the words not guilty, even though it has words behind it, is going to be an impossible task for some people. And, I don't think, let me ask you, do you think it's going to get to a verdict? I'm going to turn it around and ask you a question.
Yeah. Well, I think you made a really good point. I think, and even just everybody's talking about this case now. I mean, even this weekend, my friends are asking me about it.
Yeah.
My parents are asking me about it. Most people feel bad for Lindsay Clancy, I think, and feel like, there's not another motive, not a secret motive, and that, people are talking about their own postpartum issues. But I've talked to people who feel terrible for her, but at the end of the day, can't overlook that there are 3 dead kids. And
right.
I just think about those jurors. Are there going to be some of them who they have to live with this decision for the rest of their life? I mean, this is a huge moment in their lives, being on a case like this. For all of us covering it, it's different and emotional. And I've never covered a case quite like this. And you're in the courtroom, so for you even more so. But imagine being on the jury. Like, you're going to have to live with this. Whatever you decide, you're going to live with for the rest of your life. So that's kind of what I'm wondering. Like, are there people that feel terrible for her on the jury, but aren't going to be able to go to sleep for the rest of their life saying not guilty when there are 3 kids? And even if you believe in mental health and feel awful for her, like, I guess I can respect that. I mean, I get that. That's going to be a hard decision.
Yeah, it's going to be a massively, massively hard decision. And you're asking people to.
I agree with all of this. I think it's going to be a hard decision, and I worry. I don't know how the jury's going to go on this. I just don't know, because I feel like there's no precedent for it, because they did find her, Andrea Yates, guilty in the first one. But I think in the second one, she was not guilty by reason of insanity. And that's why she's still in a mental institution. And that's why she could come up and ask to be released, but she just doesn't. And Andrea Yates was like 30 years ago. Most people, like, other than say Casey Anthony, won't, and Gypsy Rose Blanchard, won't feel comfortable being back out there in society and being front and center like those 2 yahoos. I can't see Lindsay Clancy becoming an influencer all of a sudden. That's not going to happen. So
change the way that they've felt about a certain thing forever.
Yeah.
You know, which is a huge ask. And frankly, it's near impossible to be able to accomplish that task as a defense attorney. It's like what it really boils down to is reverse jury nullification. Because I think at the end of the day, that what's going to happen, and I think that we saw enough, oddly enough, through the Commonwealth's case in chief, which I believe is wrapping tomorrow. I think they're going to be resting their case tomorrow, and I'm assuming that Reddington's going to jump right into his case in chief. But in terms of trying to get a jury to move on that thing, where again you've got the Commonwealth who has really put on witnesses that I think lay out very clearly that she absolutely was trying to get help, that she wasn't doing the things that were kind of being thrown out there prior to the trial with the pill seeking, doctor seeking, and you see that she was failed in some capacity. When you read her journal entries, I mean, they were powerful. It's like I was sitting there in the corner.
I still see people over on Facebook making comments like, she was a pill seeker, she was a doctor shopper. I know it. I see it. It's like, do you know how overwhelming you are? I'm sure you overwhelm people around you on a daily basis. Go away.
Like, so the Commonwealth thinks this is helping their case. I mean, it's showing like a loving mother that, you know, was struggling because she knew that she was having a hard time treating Callan the same way that she did Cora. You know what I mean? Because Cora was her firstborn, and like, that was a thing. And, you know, it's her open, honest things in there. Like, people are posting like, oh, this looks like a suicide. No, I'm like, it really doesn't. But, you know, I mean, people are going to construe things differently, and that's fine. But I mean, I'm reading it and I'm looking at a mother who's struggling mightily through what she's going through, and desperately wants to love all of her kids just as hard and the same way that she loved her first when she was born, which I think a lot of mothers struggle with. That's not a Lindsay Clancy thing. That's like, you talk to mothers all over the planet, they're going to be telling you the same thing. It's always one of the things that you go through. You know, my wife's had 4 kids, you know, I mean, we love them all the same. But like, if I were to sit there and like micromanage, did she treat our first differently than she treated our last? Probably not intentionally, but probably, you know what I mean? But to me,
I feel that happens with every third child or whatever. Like, half the third childs in the world don't even get baby books. Like, back in the day when, you know, like baby books, I don't know if they're still a thing, but they were a big thing. Like, mine didn't even get filled out hardly. I mean, it just is what it is. But then on the other end of the spectrum, the baby of the family always gets accused that they get, you know, like, you're easier on them. You know, they get preferential treatment. I mean, by that time, the parents are tired. So yeah, you get a little neglected, but you get a little extra. And it just, I think it all evens out. Or hopefully it evens out.
Powerful message that really kind of sealed that portion of like, all right, I'm convinced that she was genuinely trying to get better, and that everything that I heard prior to that was inaccurate, was that when she sent the message saying, I just feel like I'm not being heard.
But you can tell that Lindsay had that real mom guilt. She had mom guilt, really. I mean, she wasn't well. She was really sick. Her journals weren't the flex that the prosecutor thought it was. Like, when she was showing Lindsay's journals, I was like, I don't think this is the flex you think it is, lady. I mean, it shows that Lindsay is this really loving and caring mother and was worried. And yeah, her journals just really showed the amount of the mountains she was willing to climb to try to feel better just for her kids.
To me, I was like sitting in the courtroom. I like kind of leaned back in the pew, or whatever you want to call it, the bench, and I'm like, man, that's it right there. So then what happens? Now the shift is going to be Reddington's going to put on his experts. Reddington is going to answer the questions for the entire world, because people do not know what psychosis is. People confuse being a psychopath with psychosis.
Yeah. So remember, this was before Red had even taken the stand. This was 8 days ago.
They're two different things. They're just not the same thing. People don't understand that you can plan when you're when you're
And
inside.
we are watching the courtroom. They're on break. They're not back yet. I've got it up and playing. As soon as I hear movement in the court, we'll pop back over there. They have let the jury go for the day, and we're just waiting. They said they're going to be doing some, house cleanup type work for when it goes to the jury. So he said it's going to be a short day today, long day tomorrow. We did look at some things earlier in the day. There was this vigil for Lindsay where everybody wore pink. We went over that. We went over yesterday's, what's going on. Right now, we're going over what it looks like in the courtroom, what the jury is doing, how they're reacting, who's in the courtroom, how Lindsay's acting in the courtroom, what's Red doing in the courtroom, what's the Bow twins doing, just, looky-loo type stuff. Be sure to give this live a thumbs up for me. Helps me go out into the algorithm. Party out there. Bring more people back. Today we're coming to you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Hi, y'all.
Form for every single person a little bit differently. It's not like, oh, you've got the chicken pox, everybody gets the little bumps and they itch. It's
Right.
It's a mind disease, and some medications work on some people, some don't. Some have an intolerance to it, some don't. You know what I mean? So like those things, that part of the trial is going to come out, and then this case, because if people are going to be like, and I'm just can't wait for it to happen, because it's going to happen when they rest, and if it happens tomorrow, people are going to be like, wait, that's their case. And the answer is no. Their real case is going to take place in rebuttal. So they're going to put their experts, their lack of criminal responsibility experts on after the defense's experts are on. So their real case in terms of fighting that second prong of lack of criminal responsibility is going to happen after the defense ends up resting.
Oh, interesting. That's perspective I had.
So he seems to think that after Red rests, that the state's real prosecution will come in the rebuttal, but then we've got Red's rebuttal. So I can't see how this would go to the jury by Friday if we got all these rebuttals. What do you guys think? Also, I hear some thunder booms outside, so we might be getting a storm.
About that.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think. To me, and you've been in the thick of it, but just for me watching just off and on the way I have, the most powerful thing I felt like for the prosecution so far were the text messages before, when Patrick left and they were talking about what food he was going to pick up. And it was just kind of this regular dialogue, like just back and forth, oh, order me this, order me that. And then that was right when she killed the kids. What did you think of that? Because it was kind of eye-opening to see her having this just like everyday, regular, what seemed like sane communication.
Yeah.
It shows how crazy it all is. If she was just having this everyday sane communication, and if she was texting back and forth, if indeed that's what it was happening, I still like the conspiracy still is in my head. But if that was indeed what was happening, to me, it shows the insanity of it all, to have such a normal conversation when you're in the middle of doing something so diabolical that I don't know.
It's off-putting, and it's that thing that every single person on the planet that doesn't really kind of understand the ins and outs of psychosis is going to have to be educated on it.
Yeah.
That's the thing I'm saying. It's like the experts that I've
Yeah,
spoken to.
it would just be her up there being pissy for another day. I don't know. But I didn't even think about the rebuttal that was coming. So we'll see
about it.
After that, because isn't today Thursday? Is it Thursday already today? Yeah, Thursday. And today is supposed to be, they're already gone today. Tomorrow's supposed to be long. So, I mean, maybe it'll go to the jury at the end of the day. And then we'll have to, I don't think they'll deliberate all weekend. Will they? I don't know what they're going to make the jury do. I guess we'll find out today when they come back if they're going to sequester them. I don't know. And but definitely by next week we'll probably know this case, like what the verdict, I would say, like sometime next week.
Are like it can be a second by second thing, and it's a hard thing to figure because in your mind you're envisioning this awful thing that she's doing one by one, and you're like, how could she stop doing that and grab her phone if she were in the middle of the acts, like when that happened, and just like you said, send kind of a normal mundane text message, and it's hard to grapple with that. And we don't really know the timing of how everything went down. We have the state's theory. That's, you give that the weight that it's worth. They weren't there. They're guessing a little bit. They know how long Patrick was gone, and that's their timeline, right? So it's like, it was what, like 58, 59 minutes total from time. So they don't know exactly when things were happening, but either way, it's like even if she was done with the horrible thing, and like she had moved upstairs to the bedroom and she's trying to harm herself, is she answering the text then? It's like to say, like, it doesn't get any easier to kind of deal with that question of like, how was she able to do that? How was she able to switch? And I think that when people start hearing the experts, because I think there's a misconception, if you've got auditory, command hallucinations and you're hearing a voice, there's also an aspect that the voice is
well, he said that after they come back, they were going to talk about the instructions and like that. So to me, I don't know though. I really don't know because I'm not a legal expert. So, but he said they were going to talk about instructions. So to me, I know like the jury has to be sent away with certain instructions. I don't know if they decide on the sequestering at the beginning of the trial, because I know the jury's not sequestered now. They're free to go home. They're just not allowed to look on the internet or talk to anybody. So I don't know. But I also have seen sometimes where the jury isn't sequestered and they just choose to stay. And, so we'll see.
helping you evade being caught. You know what I'm saying? It's like her people, it's not going to get answered until the experts get up there. Like that, those are the questions that everybody has.
Yeah.
And then the question becomes, if you become convinced, like, all right, I've heard the defense's expert, I've heard the state's expert. They were both credible. I believe what the defense expert was saying about psychosis. Okay, she had psychosis. And then you're still like that thing that you were talking about. You're like, I can't write not guilty because of what she did. You know what I mean? It's like,
Do you know Susan Constantine, the jury consultant? Have you ever interviewed her?
I've never met her.
I interviewed her the other day, and it was kind of a dramatic way of putting it, but this is what she said. She said that those jurors, and it's kind of weird to say this, but this is what she said. She said they're going to have to walk over those 3 dead bodies.
Yeah, Brian was the one that I heard say that. Let's pop around and see if there's any legal expert saying anything.
Really doesn't have any deep feelings except feelings of satisfaction that she murdered her children. Thank you so much. Very generous.
A short recess, and we're going to bring the
Shayna.
jury back.
Wait, is that this woman obviously is not a pro Lindsay fan. Let's come over here.
Is not ordained. I don't know exactly how far the privilege goes. I don't know if Lindsay waived the privilege to let her speak, but to her, she said she considers their communications to be privileged.
Everything that we view, I will put over in the YouTube show notes. We do this to cite our sources. I stop and start things. I talk over it. I won't show things in its entirety, but the links will be there if you want to look at the person or the video that we watch.
So that's why she didn't write them in the hospital notes. The jury has been excused for the day. We are waiting for them to do the jury charging conference. And that is something the public can watch. It will be broadcast. We're just waiting.
Patrick 100% is a monster.
Only one witness this morning. If you didn't watch the witness from this morning, please go back and watch it. To me, that may have been the most important testimony of the trial.
This morning?
Maybe. Tell me if you think so.
Well, let's pop back and see what she said after that, because that's interesting.
There was more family type communal living, where generations all lived together under the same roof. And so there was much more help available to the mom. And I just, I think about people saying, why do you says justice is my balance for PPP. Love you, Mel. Standing with Lindsay, even though I'm far away. Thank you, Steph. It's a poem written by Max Aaron.
I have a calendar here of my visits. I saw her on Tuesday, January 31st, and she had been extubated at that point so she could speak.
So the tube had been removed. She was able to communicate, and that was on January 31st.
I believe
So this is the lawyer Mel Little, and I just heard her say that she felt the most important testimony so far was this chaplain. They have released the jury. They're on a break. We're waiting for them to come back. I've got that up. In the meanwhile, we're just going over testimony from this morning and just other stuff, just looky-loo stuff.
Dated the weekend of the 28th, but I didn't work that weekend, so I saw her on Tuesday, the 31st.
All right. Tell the jurors what you observed and what.
Don't worry, that's what we do here. And she more. Hold on, baby. She still happens in psychosis, where people think that by killing their children, they are saving them, giving them to God, right? And she did say in her lawsuit, she said, as she strangled each child, go to God, baby, right? Go to God, baby. We've read it several times. Was it a mercy killing? Or was she still in a delusion thinking that her children were still alive and she was so glad they were safe? I need to near more. I need to know more. I need to hear more. Hold on, let's hear that again. This woman has such a beautiful, calming presence, and she was praying with her. And that's the first thing she said to her. Let's take it back.
Yeah, she seems like she would be the perfect person to be a chaplain.
That's what we do here.
Like the photograph you just saw, she was covered, tubes everywhere, the neck brace. Her emotional state was very neutral, a flat affect. But I remember vividly the first thing she said to me. Now, she had heard me for a couple of days. We had been praying together. And so when I went in on Tuesday, the 31st, she said to me as I held her hand to comfort her, I am so glad my children are safe.
Was there any other conversation that you had with her?
I replied theologically to Lindsay, and I said, Lindsay, your children are safe. They're safe in heaven with God. And I held her hand throughout that conversation, and we prayed for them.
Did she make any other statements to you?
She did. She alluded to having heard a voice. And the voice, according to Lindsay, told her that if she did not follow the command, neither she nor her children would be safe.
Let's move it forward. I just want the lawyer's analysis on it. We did watch this already this morning, but she said just a minute ago that she feels this is today's most important testimony.
Hold My Matcha says, took your advice, Mel, and bought the tickets. Me and the Jonas Brothers in October for my birthday month. Thank you for all you're doing. Oh, I love that so much. I always say that. Buy the tickets, do the things, make the memories. Go see your favorite band. Go see a Broadway show. Go see all the things you want to see, because you never know when your favorite band might not be around anymore. Rest in peace, Bob Weir.
Very true.
Mo became a member. Thank you. Kay Shredded the Bows says, have you seen?
Use those special plates. Wear that dress that you're saving for a special occasion. Do the thing. It's so important, especially in this day and age.
In the AI babies on TikTok, the channel from the Karen Reed trial did a video for this trial, and it's a must-see. Baby K Shred with a giant poster. No. Oh, I haven't, but wait, she's also got a YouTube channel. I will look for it. Thank you. Let's talk about Nikki. Let's talk about it. Nick P. Let's talk about it. Okay. Thank you for your super sticker. Jeff says, do you agree that Reddington didn't ask for a mistrial? Do I agree that he didn't? I don't have any personal knowledge of it, so I don't know. if that is true or not. So I really can't opine on that. Are other people
Yeah.
opining that he did not ask for it at, I don't know. I don't know if he gave an interview. So I don't know what he's saying. I don't know, Jeff. So I just don't know.
I don't know where the mistrial came from because they're literally not saying anything in the courtroom. So I don't know where that speculation came from.
Charles, this female court sheriff has a beautiful face. Name? I don't know, but I do know that the Dave, who takes his job very seriously when he bangs that gavel, God save us from the Commonwealth. I know Dave. I don't know the female. Vicky says, yes, 3 jurors have been officially dismissed. 3 of them?
3? Where
According
did we
to
get
whom?
this information?
I don't want to spread that rumor unless it's a vetted
I know there were 18 jurors, I heard. So 3? What?
source.
I think that's a rumor. I
If
haven't
they
heard
if
otherwise.
they're going to have the charge conference today, that would be fantastic because that's very important and we need to watch it. That would be great. Thank you, Vicky, for your
I
5.
think if there were 3 jurors dismissed, wouldn't they have to put that on record somehow?
The dash in between, we had a case in Australia I was close to where a mom took the life of her 8 kids and 1 niece. She was found not guilty by psych caused by the devil's lettuce. I was laughing about the devil's lettuce with my daughter last night. She's like, you've never heard that before? I'm like, no. I said, Kevin Redding is like 75. I thought that was something like an old boomer term. She's like, no, they say they use it now. So it's current lingo. There was another woman in California who did like 1 bong hit of the devil's lettuce that was like, I don't know if it was synthetic marijuana, and she stabbed a guy like over 100 times and she was outright let go.
It's a medication and people should treat it as a medication, and just as any medications, it can throw a person if, especially I've heard edibles can be the one that can really throw a person into a psychosis. And wasn't she just doing edibles? I don't know if she was smoking it, but yeah. I also heard that they said in the Epstein files that people that partake in the devil's lettuce are harder to control.
Based on psychosis. So it's a wild, wild world out there. Hold on, I found it. I found the baby AI video. Hold on.
Baby
This gives me life. These baby AI, and you know how much I hate AI. But these baby AI videos of trials give me life. So shout out to
AI videos?
okay.
You know those videos, I've seen them where they do Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn where they turn them into babies.
Wait, I wonder if she has a YouTube channel because it's easier to play on YouTube. It's a great trial anymore. Let's watch this. I think you're gonna love it. Let's move over here.
1 juror.
Now, are you?
I mean, they obviously had alternates because isn't it just 12 that decide? And they had 18. How many decide out of? Let me play this and I'll look.
Active member in the Catholic Church.
Yes.
So you're aware that murder is considered a mortal sin.
Holy cow!
Or did she seem to understand the questions you were asking?
Yes.
And her responses, did you understand those?
Yes.
Look at the bow. Look at the bow. The bow is giant. I'm gonna start again because I want you to come.
I heard somebody say I did a bow one and they're like, her bows just keep getting bigger and bigger. And I'm like, yeah, I'm petty. They're not real. Her bows were never that big. They did get kind of big, but they were never quite that big. So I did Google it, and there will only be 12 members who will ultimately vote on the final verdict. And I know they had 18 people. So, I mean, I guess it's okay if it was even 3 that got dismissed. Let me see. Still, I don't see anything happening. We do have it up. So I started taking this oregano and black seed oil supplement, and I'm just wondering, it's supposed to kill any parasites that you might have in your body. And I'm just wondering if that's what's making me feel a little funky and sneeze, because I kind of feel like I'm coming down with something, but I don't know if it's just like some parasites being killed. But anyway, this is going on. While we're waiting, we're going across the internet and seeing what others have to say. We're over on Mel Little, and she's showing some AI videos of the prosecution.
Screen if you can. This might give you life. There's one of me too. There's a baby AI video with me in it, and I love it so much.
Now, are you an active member in the Catholic Church?
Yes.
So you're aware that murder is considered a mortal sin?
Holy cow!
Or did she seem to understand the questions you were asking?
Yes.
And her responses, did you understand those?
Yes.
So what she was writing made sense given the situation. She wasn't writing, is there a unicorn in the corner, right?
What? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Okay, I think they're back.
All right. All right, Council, what
Charge
I kind
conference.
of wanted to do is at least have a preliminary discussion regarding instructions and what to instruct the jury on. So kind of what I'll be using will be the model jury instructions, generally the model jury instructions from the March 2026, the latest suggestions from the SJC. And so Commonwealth, let me kind of hear what your thoughts are, and then I'll hear from the defendant.
So for individual instructions, we have listed opinion testimony, prior inconsistent and prior consistent statements, redactions. I don't think there are too many, but there were some on the death certificates, stipulations, and consciousness of guilt.
So just real quick, this is a charge hearing. I've never heard of what a charge hearing is, so I asked. It said the context of legal charges. They're going to talk about the drop counts, the core trial focus, and stuff like that.
In terms of what we're looking for for the charges, we'd be looking for an instruction on first and second, with the theories of first being both deliberate premeditation and extreme atrocity and cruelty. In terms of the criminal responsibility instruction, we're asking that the instruction regarding intoxication not be given, because
Yeah,
from
and
our
they're just
perspective, there's been no evidence.
they're deciding on the exact jury charges. It says that the judge dismissed the jury early today to hold a charge conference. A charge conference is a meeting where the judge and the lawyers from both sides sit down to decide on the exact jury instructions, the specific legal rules and definitions the judge will read to the jury before they begin debating. So that's what they're doing right now.
Of intoxication by drugs and or alcohol during the killings. There's testimony, and I think there'll be more testimony about the defendant taking pills.
I'm going to move
after
us over
killing
to
the
Court
children,
TV though, because I can't hear on this one.
more testimony about the defendant taking pills after killing the children, and before killing the children, she was on low-dose prescription 10 milligrams of amitriptyline that was recently increased to 20 milligrams, but there's no real evidence of whether or not she actually increased that dose. And then it was a low dose of trazodone and a low dose of, I believe, Valium. So those were prescribed medications that she had reported no side effects from. And I believe in the text with her mother, she said that she was still waiting to actually feel effects from those. So there's no evidence of intoxication from those drugs. And then the only intoxication potentially could be when she took pills after killing the children. And even those amounts from the toxicology are low-level amounts. So we're asking that the instruction on intoxication not be given.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to ask the defendant as well, because I did read through those. And I was trying to find the definition of intoxication as it applies in the homicide instructions. Most of the cases that I was able to find so far is the dealing with the OUI statute, Chapter 90, and trying to find the real definition in regards to that. Is it the Commonwealth's position that the intoxication is beyond what was the considered effect of the drugs? Because if you know what I'm saying? So if she takes, if a defendant, I don't mean to personalize it, if a defendant takes prescription drugs and it does create some effect, would that be considered intoxicated for the instruction?
I don't believe so. I think in the instructions it talks about having being intoxicated to the point where it affects your state of mind or ability to control yourself. I think intoxication, especially where there's not a specific definition given in the homicide instructions, I think you go to the general definition of intoxication, which would not just be taking medication as prescribed, but it would be over taking medication or combining with alcohol or other drugs. Is similar to the instructions in OUIs, operating under the influence of alcohol or drugs. I think you would have to go to that definition or to the general definition of intoxication if it's not specifically defined in the instructions. And I think the general definition of intoxication is taking some type of substance, either alcohol, drugs, medication, in excess and to the point where it's affecting your ability to think and to act and to control your behavior.
All right. All right. Anything? So I've got opinion, prior, consistent, prior, inconsistent, redaction, stipulations, consciousness of guilt, first, second, extreme atrocity, deliberate premeditation, and the criminal responsibilities without the subparagraph or the paragraph regarding intoxication.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Mr. Reddington?
I don't know if the government has been listening to the same evidence in this case. This is clearly an involuntary intoxication defense, at least as far as the judge's charge to the jury, based upon the evidence that's been presented, whether or not it's what we would argue is the over prescription of the medications, whether or not it's the side effects of the medications, whether or not it's the titration or the termination or the immediate cessation of the medications against what normal medical advice would be. All of those factors contribute to the state of mind of Ms. Clancy that was expressed to a lot of people, family members, people that knew her. She had indicated, I think Your Honor knows the evidence, repeatedly indicated that she was affected by the benzos. She was felt that she was being addicted to the benzos, trying to get off the benzos. She indicated that the sertraline was obviously killing her as far as going from 25 to 50 milligrams. And then subsequent to that, when there's additional SSRIs prescribed, to suggest that there's no basis to give the jury the instruction, they may determine based on the evidence that is as a result of the involuntary intoxication from narcotics, not alcohol, obviously, from the prescribed narcotics, not illegal drugs. So from the prescription drugs, that's on all fours with a valid defense that they should be instructed as it relates to involuntary intoxication. I think it's the model jury instructions on criminal responsibility. Obviously, if there's any nuances that I would pick up, I would bring that to the court's attention. But I have tried murder case recently with the model jury instructions, and my memory is that I was pretty satisfied. It was Judge O'Shea, I think, actually in this courtroom a year ago, and I was satisfied with the instructions on lack of criminal responsibility. I would, at some point, ask the court to charge on involuntary manslaughter. I'd ask the court to charge on wanton conduct, with a component of the impact of the intoxication. So you can't try this case in a vacuum. You can't present the case to the jury. I know the government would like to present the case only on cruelty and atrocity. They probably don't like the statute that allows a jury to determine the degree of murder, which would be first and second. But I think that the evidence is such that a jury should have the option of considering whether or not we're talking about involuntary manslaughter based upon the evidence that's permitted. So I would defer to the court on the instructions on cruelty and atrocity, premeditated malice of forethought, second degree malice. I would ask the court to consider instructing on involuntary intoxication, to consider on the involuntary manslaughter as a lesser offense, and anything else that I can think of. But right now, that's what I can think of.
All right. Yeah, counsel.
Thank you. Commonwealth did request first and second degree instructions. It's our position that involuntary manslaughter wouldn't apply here. The evidence is that there was a specific intent to cause the death. So there's nothing that I can think of in the involuntary instruction that would apply here. Going back to the intoxication just for a moment.
Sure.
All of the medications, most of the medications that defense counsel talked about that the defendant was having reactions to and side effects from were before her hospitalization at McLean Hospital. And she was weaned off of that last one, the Seroquel, that while she was in McLean Hospital. And then she was without those medications and they're out of her system for 3 weeks. And she's just on those other 3 medications. So the intoxication that matters is not what happened in the fall and before McLean, it's what happened on the day of the incident. It's similar if it's an OUI, it doesn't matter if you were drunk in November, it matters if you're drunk on the date of the incident. So what matters here is that January 24th, 2023, and those other drugs and the effects that they caused to her aren't relevant to what happened on that day as they've been out of her system for at least 3 weeks at that point.
All right. So the Commonwealth's position would be that the relevant analysis is what she was taking on or around that January 24th?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Any other?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
It occurred to me, again, as I said, it's only fresh in my mind from the case I had here last year. I know the model jury instructions indicate, and I'm trying to find it in here, that there's supposed to be consideration of a chalk for the court to write out the elements of the offense of first degree murder, cruelty and atrocity, premeditated malice of forethought, etc. And I would ask that you not do that. I don't think that it's appropriate. I think it highlights, if you will, in simplistic terms, premeditated malice of forethought. I think you and I, we just had a murder case last year on another matter. And I mean, I heard your instructions. You're very forceful with the elements of the offense. And I just don't think we need to have this appendix or whatever you want to call it. And again, I did object to that with the Judge O'Shea. We did not submit the instruction list, cookbook, or whatever you want to call it, to the jury. So I think that the court's instructions would be sufficient. I would not want to have that chalk that is referenced in the model instructions. That's discretionary. It's not obligated. They just say that it might be helpful for the court to give the jury some type of a checklist. But I don't think we should reduce instructions on a murder case to a checklist. And I'm just afraid that what happens is that jurors then take the checklist, as it were, and they kind of look at it or consider it, and they just do exactly that. It's a checklist. So I would ask that you not do that.
All right. Just so counsel, my general practice is not to have that kind of list.
Yeah, I remember.
I generally don't, but I also generally will provide a copy of the instructions to each juror. So they'll have their own full copy and they can follow along because the three of you know they're lengthy and kind of dry. So they'll have those with them. But I'll like I said, I generally don't do that chart. All right. So anything else in regards to the instructions?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So my plan would be to have at least a rough draft available for counsel tomorrow. So you at least have that. And, depending on the timing and where we go in regards to the actual closings, we'll have the opportunity for you to review those go over the draft, and then any kind of objections or suggestions you want to make, we'll have a chance to do that. But so you'll have, again, it's a rough draft. That's all I can tell you. And nothing's in stone, but at least give you an idea kind of where I'm coming from.
Do you think logistically, Your Honor, that with the presentation of Dr. Resnick and then the government having their 3 doctors, hopefully we finish the evidence tomorrow, we would be closing Monday?
I would expect either Monday or Tuesday. If the parties may need, I'll leave, we could talk about that. But, my old experience, there's been a lot of evidence and there's a lot of witnesses. And so if the parties feel that they need like a day to kind of marshal their thoughts, we could talk about that. So either probably Monday or Tuesday. We could talk about that tomorrow. All right. All right. Anything else we need to address, you think?
No, Your Honor.
All right. And so tomorrow we'll be in recess until tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Hopefully we'll start with Dr. Resnick and then, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. You just kind of looked, I thought, oh, so that would be the thought. And then we'll just kind of go from there. If the defendant rests, the Commonwealth can then present their witnesses. And if it's not done by Friday, we can go into Monday, and that may mean closings and charge on Tuesday.
Okay.
All right.
And Mr. Verino will be here, yes, to set up the Zoom.
So you're not going to trust me to set that up this time? I think that's a good move. All right. All right. So thank you, everyone. And so we'll be in recess until tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Board, all rise.
Okay, they're in recess until tomorrow. So we get the day off, you guys. I'm going to go off and relax and try to get some clips out for you guys. If I feel up to it, I'll come back and do that. Dr. Jan and Lauren Matthias, their take on this whole situation. But yeah, I'm going to take advantage of the day. I've got a storm rolling in. It's starting to rain and my electricity flickered a little bit. So I'm going to head on out. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me this morning. If you're interested, I did do some earlier. We went over the Lindsay Clancy solidarity support thing that they had this morning where everyone wore pink, and then we went over yesterday's hearing. We went over what it's like in the courtroom and this and that, a lot of looky-loo type stuff. They are on recess until tomorrow. Apparently tomorrow is going to be a longer day. I think Reddington's going to rest, and then the Commonwealth is going to do their rebuttal, and they hope to get that all done by the end of the day. But if not, they'll move it over to Monday and Tuesday, they said. So that's the situation. Be sure to give this live a thumbs up. Helps me go out into the algorithm. Today we came to you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Hi, everyone. Carolina, thank you so much for hanging out with me on YouTube and Facebook. I saw you over there on Facebook. So thank you so much. And thank you to all of you. Shout out to my replay crew and all my dragonflies. I love you guys so much. And yeah, Audi 2000. If nobody's told you this today, and even if they have, I don't care. I'm still going to tell you guys this. I love and appreciate you guys so much. And I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Miss my cue, but I had you for that day. Here in the blue, I'm falling deep into you.
Be sure to give this live a thumbs up. Helps me go out into the algorithm party out there. bring more people back to the party. It's just a free way to help me out.
With you tonight, and it feels fine. Feels fine. Baby, I'm dancing with you tonight. Here in the blue, I'm dancing and falling out, hoping for some time with you.